Demon Slayer, I awakened Mangekyō Sharingan. Chapter 21. As the orders of Yubayashiki Yoshiya were issued one by one, the 9 pillars who received the call for the 9 pillars to assemble, or the other pillars except the water pillar Tomioka Jiu, were all surprised. Since they did not know the specific details, the sudden order to assemble the 9 pillars inevitably made them a little worried. For example, whether other pillars were killed, and whether the Lord Yubayashiki Yoshiya was in good health. The latter made them particularly worried. Especially in the past 2 years, the Lord's health has further deteriorated. Not only did he become completely blind and unable to see, but he also began to become weak and sick, and even movement became extremely difficult. I am afraid that the Lord Yubayashiki Yoshiya will not have much time left. To put it bluntly, this meeting of the 9 pillars is likely to be the last one. With this heavy heart, the remaining 8 pillars quickly rushed to the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps, eager to know what happened. As for the other side? The other party, that is, Uchiha Isha. When the other pillar-level swordsman rushed to the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps, he had been found by the Demon Slayer Corps as hidden. Uchiha-sama, please follow us to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The Lord invites you to attend the 9 pillars meeting. The leading member of the hidden clan said respectfully to Uchiha Isha. As the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps, the secrecy of the Yubayashiki clan's mansion is naturally no less than that of the swordsmith village. Apart from the 9 pillars, only a very small number of people and a very small number of crows know about it. If others want to go to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, they need to be led by hidden clan. When they go there, other hidden clan members will be replaced to lead the way to ensure secrecy and prevent it from being leaked. I understand. Uchiha Isha nodded slightly. This time it was Yin who came to him, and it was so fast that he was a little surprised. But this seemed to be natural. After knowing the existence of the breathing of the sun, Yubayashiki Yoya had no reason to hold back. And from the point of view of inviting himself to the 9 pillars meeting, his becoming a pillar would also be a foregone conclusion. His becoming a pillar might be a sure thing. The title of Sun Pillar will also be given to him. Following the footsteps of Yin, Uchiha Isha began his journey to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Arriving at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, it was already the afternoon of the second day. This trip took a full day and a half. But starting from next time, maybe it won't take so much time. Because Yin had no intention of hiding it, Uchiha Isha already knew the exact location of the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. This also made him more certain that he would become the 10th pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. Master Uchiha, we will take our leave now. After bringing Uchiha Isha to the entrance of the courtyard of the Yubayashiki residence, several members of the hidden sect respectfully took their leave. The person had been sent away, and there was nothing for them to do next. Thank you for your hard work. Uchiha Isha nodded. After that, he stepped into the yard. When he arrived in the yard, he saw the Lord Yubayashiki Yoya sitting upright on the side corridor. His wife Yubayashiki Tenon and 2 eldest daughters Yubayashiki Hinamai and Yubayashiki Haika were accompanying him. In front of them were the 9 pillars who were kneeling on one knee. It seemed that the 9 pillars had just arrived not long ago. The arrival of Uchiha Isha naturally attracted the attention of the other 9 pillars besides Tomioka Jiu. In such an important occasion as the 9 pillars meeting, someone else actually appeared here. This inevitably made them a little curious about Uchiha Isha. My lord. Uchiha Isha came closer, bowed slightly, and called Yubayashiki Yoya. But his bow was not as grand and respectful as Tomioka Jiu and his group. If he had not awakened his past life memories, he might have followed suit. But since he has awakened his past life memories, he would inevitably feel a little awkward to be so polite to others. Yubayashiki Yoya and the others didn't mind Uchiha Isha's bow. On the contrary, in the eyes of the 9 pillars, Uchiha Isha's behavior was somewhat rude. This was an offense to the Lord. Yugai. Fuzugawa Sanya, who had the most bad temper and respected Yubayashiki Yoya, was about to scold him. He even wanted to draw his Nikaran sword and chop him. But before he could finish his words, Yubayashiki Yoya had already signaled Fuzugawa Sanya to leave. Shimizu, stop it, don't be rude to Isha. Yubayashiki Yoya said. This. Yes. Yubayashiki Yoya's attitude towards Uchiha Isha surprised Fushigawashima. Shima. Afterwards, he suppressed his dissatisfaction with Uchiha Isha and returned to his original position. However, the look he gave Uchiha Isha was still somewhat vicious. The other 9 pillars were also surprised by this scene. They did not expect that the Lord would attach so much importance to Uchiha Isha. They had an inexplicable premonition that Uchiha Isha might be the protagonist of this 9-pillar meeting. I'm sorry, I have to call you all in this emergency. But there are two important things about our Demon Slayer Corps that I need to tell you personally. Yubayashiki Yoshiya, who stopped Fuzugawa, continued. Then, in the surprised eyes of Koko Shinobu and the other 9 pillars, Yubayashiki Yoshiya explained the matter. First, the Demon Slayer Corps will change the old rules and appoint a 10th pillar. The candidate for the 10th pillar is Uchiha Isha in front of you. Maybe everyone may not understand or have some objections to this, but why Isha is fully worthy of the title of pillar. Not only did he kill the previous lower 6, but he also killed the current lower 5. His military exploits were enough. The most important thing is that why Isha has mastered the breathing of the sun that only exists in rumors. Yubayashiki Yoya said. Has another swordsman appeared who killed the 12 demon moons, and there are 2 of them. This is unbelievable. What? The breathing of the sun that only appeared in rumors actually appeared. After the first thing was announced, the pillar-level swordsmen such as Shinobu Koko who learned about it were already shocked. Among them, Rock Pillar Gyume and Flame Pillar Rengoku Kyojuro were the most shocked. One of them had heard about the existence of sun breathing in detail from Lord Yubayashiki Yoya, and the other had seen the record of sun breathing in the family's book of successive flame pillars. Sun breathing is known as the starting breathing method. This is the earliest breathing method born in the Demon Slayer Corps and can be called the strongest skill. All existing breathing methods, including the 5 basic breathing methods, are derived from sun breathing. To put it bluntly, all breathing methods can only be regarded as followers of sun breathing, and are crude imitations of sun breathing. However, due to the disaster of the Demon Slayer Corps, the existence of sun breathing has long disappeared from the Demon Slayer Corps. Now that sun breathing has appeared again, it is undoubtedly very shocking. It is no wonder that Lord Yubayashiki Yoya would urgently convene a meeting of the 9 pillars. Putting aside the unprecedented appointment of the 10th pillar. This alone was enough to call a meeting of the 9 pillars. In comparison, Uchiha Isha's military exploits and his appointment as the 10th pillar seemed unsurprising. Chapter 22. Is this real? Is Breath of the Sun really reappearing again? Even Tokaido, the descendant of the sun-breathing user, has never passed down the sun breathing in his family. But it turns out that an outsider has mastered the breathing of the sun and made it appear again. After the shock, the 9 pillars were all in doubt. Even if what their lord Yubayashiki Yoya said must be accurate, this news was too unbelievable. Especially as they said. Among them, the mist pillar Tokaido Muchiro, who was said to be the descendant of the user of sun breathing, did not have any inheritance of sun breathing in his family. Not even a single word about sun breathing existed. What Tokaido Muchiro finally mastered was the mist breathing derived from the wind breathing. Now the sun breathing actually appeared on Uchiha Isha, an unrelated person. What does that cloud in the sky look like? Even though he was mentioned by the other 9 pillars, the mist pillar was quite indifferent at the moment. Instead, his eyes were attracted by the clouds in the sky and he kept daydreaming. This was not intentional on the part of Tokaido Muchiro, nor was it because he had a weird personality. When he was 11 years old, his brother was killed by a demon, and he lost his past memories and almost no emotions. Inwardly, he was in a semi-closed state. So, there was Tokaido Muchiro with such a weird style now. Everyone, be quiet. Seeing that the atmosphere had become noisy, Yubayashiki Yoya motioned for everyone to be quiet. His lifeless and hard-to-see eyes briefly stayed in the direction of Tokaido Muchiro. Then, following the guidance of his wife Yubayashiki Amine, he looked in the direction of Uchiha Isha. Isha, can you please demonstrate the breathing of the sun for us? Yubayashiki Yoya asked. He was very humble and pleading. It was exciting and thrilling for him to witness the breathing of the sun with his own eyes. Unfortunately, he could no longer see, so he could only be witnessed by his wife and daughter. Of course. Uchiha Isha did not refuse. Then, under the expectant and curious eyes of Yubayashiki Yoya and the 9 pillars, he began to demonstrate his sun breathing. Form 1, Round Dance, Form 2, Blue Sky, Form 3, Fiery Red Mirror. The 11th form, the Dragon of the Sun, the Head Dance, the 12th form, the Flame Dance. All 12 forms of the sun breathing were perfectly demonstrated by Uchiha Isha. Yubayashiki Yoshiya's family and all the 9 pillars were also able to appreciate the rumored sun breathing. Is this the breathing of the sun? As expected, it is the legendary starting breathing method. Compared to the breathing techniques we have mastered, the sun breathing is not only more comprehensive, but also seems to be more lethal to demons. Even the breath of fire, which currently has the strongest killing power against demons, cannot compare to it. The shock brought by the sun breathing was not small. Especially for the 9 pillars. With their strength and vision at their level, their vision was very sharp, and they discovered the power of the sun breathing at a glance. This was not an ordinary breathing method. The breathing methods they mastered were indeed far behind the sun breathing. At this point, no one doubted that Uchiha Isha had mastered the sun breathing. And his strength. Although it is still a little bit worse than the real pillar, it has indeed reached this level. In addition to the sun breathing itself, the 9 pillars naturally also paid attention to Uchiha Isha's own strength. It was indeed as the Lord said. With the merit of killing 2 lower-ranked demons, plus the sun breathing, Uchiha Isha is indeed qualified to become the unprecedented 10th pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. This is all about the breath of the sun. After completing the demonstration, Uchiha Isha put the sun blade back into the scabbard and said to the Yubashiki Yoya family and the 9 pillars Deo who were all looking at him. In addition, regarding the topic you just talked about, I need to correct you. Uchiha Isha paused and said. This descendant of the sun-breathing user in your eyes may not be a swordsman who used the sun-breathing, but the moon-breathing which is closest to the sun-breathing. The user of moon-breathing is named Tsugaku, the elder brother of Tsugaku Yoriichi, the creator of sun-breathing and the creator of all breathing techniques. Uchiha Isha explained. After discovering the mistake, he wanted to correct it. It's a bit sad. Although he was the last descendant of Tsugaku, Tokaido Muchiro died at the hands of his ancestor who became the upper rank one, Kokushibo. Moreover, he died in an extremely painful way, with his arm cut off and his waist cut off. The most important thing is that Tokaido Muchiro was only 14 years old when he died. He really died young. Oh! This secret told by Uchiha Isha surprised everyone, including Yubashiki Yoya. It's not the breathing of the sun, but the breathing of the moon? It turns out that Tokaido Muchiro's ancestor is actually the elder brother of the creator of the breathing of the Sunday. This surprised them. I didn't expect that you, Isha, actually knew all this. Yubashiki Yoya still had a look of surprise on his face. Even the current Demon Slayer Corps has never had such a record. The reason why they were able to find Tokaido Muchiro, the descendant of the sun-breathing user who lived in seclusion in the mountains with his family, was thanks to the predictive ability of the priest family. How did Uchiha Isha know this? When Uchiha Isha learned the sun breathing, did he see the corresponding record in some book? I didn't know this. Even the breathing of the sun, I had never known about it before. It was only after I saw someone perform the breath of the sun that I began to remember some of the events of the Warring States period. Uchiha Isha shook his head. It may be hard to believe, but these memories may come from my ancestors. They are things that happened to my ancestors. In these memory fragments, my ancestor had a close relationship with Jiguo Yuanyi, and I also learned some details about him and Jiguo Yansheng from Jiguo Yuanyi. Shugakuin Yoichi did not leave any descendants, but Shugakuin Yansheng had children before joining the Demon Slayer Corps. It was only after digesting these memories that I was able to master the breathing of the sun based on my memories. Uchiha Isha began to speak freely, fabricating the corresponding miracle. Combining the relationship between the Komato family and Shugakuin Yoshiichi, he made up a life story for himself that was exactly the same as Tanjiro's. Who can be sure that only Tanjiro's ancestor Tanjiro Komato saw the breathing of the sun demonstrated by Shugakuin Yoshiichi? This lie and story were destined to be untraceable. Only someone with such an amazing sense of smell as Tanjiro, who could even smell a lie, could discover the clues at the scene. Fortunately, Tanjiro was not there. Chapter 23. The memory of our ancestors, how is this possible? Are you sure you're not kidding? This is indeed a bit unbelievable. The 9 pillars were once again suspicious of Uchiha Isha's words. Among them, the most straightforward ones were the wind pillar, Fuzugawa Minoru, and the sound pillar, Dozui Tenjin. This is not impossible. Kohiko Shinobu suddenly said. Oh! Koko Shinobu's voice immediately surprised the others. This is called memory inheritance in medicine. What everyone inherits from their ancestors is not only blood and appearance, but also memories. For example, if it is the first time to do something, but there is an inexplicable sense of familiarity. It was something I had never experienced before, but I still had a clear impression of it. This is the phenomenon of memory inheritance. Kohiko Shinobu explains from a medical perspective. Is that so? If so, then it is indeed possible. I feel this way sometimes. Me too. The other 9 pillars were all surprised when they heard this, and then they all expressed their agreement. But it is a bit outrageous that he can remember clearly what his ancestors experienced, and the memories are from the Warring States period. Snake Pillar Iguro Obanai made a comment. This is indeed a bit outrageous, perhaps he is a special case. Otherwise, he would not be able to reproduce the breath of the Sunday. Said Shinobu Koko. Although the medical explanation made the miracle of Uchiha Isha more reasonable, she was also one of those who thought it was outrageous. After all, this memory was too old, and it actually came from the Warring States period. Isha, the person you just mentioned, is it Tanjiro? At this time, Yubayashiki Yoya suddenly spoke. He was also surprised by Uchiha Isha's words. But compared to this point, he cared more about another point. That is what Uchiha Isha said just now after seeing someone demonstrate the sun breathing. In other words, in addition to Uchiha Isha, there are other people in this era who have mastered the sun breathing. And he just happened to know such an existence today. That is Tanjiro Kamatu. According to the letter conveyed by the former water pillar Urokadakase Kanji today. Tanjiro's ancestor Tankichi Kamatu and the sun-breathing master the user is a friend of Tsugakuni Yoriichi. The breathing of the sun was passed down by Tankichi Kamatu in the form of Kagura dance as a commemoration of his friend. Now, it has been successfully mastered by Tanjiro. As the person involved, Tanjiro only learned about this at Fujisaki Mountain, and realized that his own god of fire Kagura is the breathing of the Sunday. In other words, Uchiha Isha and Tanjiro are almost the same on this point. The ancestors of Uchiha Isha and Tanjiro were both friends of Tsugakuni Yoriichi and inherited Tsugakuni Yoriichi's breathing of the Sunday. Unfortunately, he just found out about this today, and there was no time to call Tanjiro to confirm it. But the fact that there is another user of sun breathing still brought him quite a surprise. However, compared to Tanjiro, as the lord of the Demon Slayer Corps, Yubayashiki Yoya felt that it would be better to put his hopes on Uchiha Isha. Because Uchiha Isha's strength and progress are really great. From the final assessment to now, it has been only 20 days at most, and Uchiha Isha has already reached the strength of the pillar level. He even killed 2 lower-ranked demons. On the contrary, Tanjiro has just mastered the sun breathing, and has not even achieved full concentration breathing. In the past few days, Tanjiro was seriously injured in the demon hunting mission and is recovering in a certain Fuji family. With such a sharp contrast, anyone would choose Uchiha Isha, who is more outstanding. Of course, this does not mean that Tanjiro will not be paid attention to by him. On the contrary, he will attach great importance to Tanjiro. Because if Uchiha Isha has an accident one day, perhaps Tanjiro can be used as a backup. By then, the Demon Slayer Corps will still have a spark of hope. Tanjiro. Uchiha Isha was slightly startled when Tanjiro's name was suddenly mentioned, but he quickly reacted. Perhaps, when he used the Sharingan to dig out the breathing of the sun from Tanjiro last time, Tanjiro also knew about this past. Tanjiro also learned the truth about the breathing of the sun and later told Urokadakase Kanji. This must be the reason why Yubayashiki Yoya knew that Tanjiro also mastered the breathing of the Sunday. He was not panicked at all. Yes and no. Uchiha Isha shook his head and nodded. When I first saw sun breathing, I saw it in Tanjiro's father, Tanjiro. Although some memory fragments flashed in my mind at that time, they were not clear and I didn't feel anything. After that, I met Tanjiro again on Fujiyama Mountain and asked Tanjiro to demonstrate it once, and then the situation I just described occurred. Uchiha Isaka said. I see. Yubayashiki Yoya nodded slightly. Tanjiro's father, Tanjiro, was also mentioned in Urokadakase Kanji's letter. From Tanjiro's description, his father seemed to be the last person to master the breathing of the sun, and he seemed to be very powerful. Unfortunately, the other party had died of illness for many years. If he had known about the existence of Tanjiro's family earlier, it might be possible to cure them. Even if the power of the Demon Slayer Corps could not do it, a demon doctor named Tamayo he knew might still have hope. And Tanjiro's family would not have been in such a situation. In other words, is there another user of Breath of the Sun? All of a sudden, 2 have appeared. It seems that the breathing of the sun will be well inherited in this era. The 9 pillars were talking about it, all of them were surprised and delighted. Most of them didn't know about Tanjiro's existence. Even Tomioka Jiyuu, who knew about Tanjiro's existence, couldn't remember much because he and Tanjiro had only met once and didn't meet again and recognize each other. But they were all very happy that there was another user of sun breathing. Next, please listen to my second thing. Yubayashiki Yoya interrupted the 9 pillars conversation and was about to return to the main topic. For a moment, everyone fell silent again, ready to listen to the Lord's explanation. Since the first thing was directly related to the 10th pillar and the breathing of the sun, the second thing must be quite important as well. In the near future, if there is no news of the 12 demons appearing, I would like to ask all of you, the 9 pillars, to help Isha and Tanjiro improve their strength to ensure their growth. Yubayashiki Yoya said. Although Uchiha Isha's strength is sufficient, his actual combat experience must be lacking and needs to be improved. He hopes that the 9 pillars will help Uchiha Isha and gather the strength of all the pillars to further improve Uchiha Isha's strength. The same is true for Tanjiro. Since it is known that Tanjiro is also a user of sun breathing, Tanjiro also needs protection and help. Compared with Uchiha Isha, this is even more so. Not to mention growing to the strength of a pillar-level swordsman, he must at least master the full concentration breathing and have better self-protection power. If Tanjiro dies at the hands of a demon who should not have died, it will be a great loss for the Demon Slayer Corps. Chapter 24. My lord, this may not be appropriate. Almost the next moment after Yubayashiki Yoshiya said the second thing, the flame pillar Rengoku Kyojuro raised an objection. Including the wind pillar Fushigawara Minoru, the sound pillar Uzui Tenjin, the snake pillar Iguro Obanai and the rock pillar Biming Island Gyume. They also quickly raised their objections. And other pillars such as the insect pillar Koko Shinobu, the love pillar Kenroji Mitsurai, the mist pillar Tokaido Mujiro and the water pillar Tomioka Jiyu. Although they did not speak, from their expressions, they more or less held the same attitude as Rengoku Kyojuro. Of course, they understood what the Lord Yubayashiki Yoshiya meant. They didn't mind being a sparring partner for Uchiha Isha and Tanjiro. After all, whether it was Uchiha Isha or Tanjiro, they might be the hope of the Demon Slayer Corps to kill Muzan Kibutsuji in the future. The reason for the objection was that as pillars, they needed to guard the areas they were responsible for and hunt down the demons that appeared at all times. This period of time was a period when demons appeared frequently. If they are not in there, if they only rely on other swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps to hunt demons in the guarded areas, not only will the efficiency of hunting demons be reduced, but the casualties may also increase. If the 12 demon moons suddenly appear, the situation will be even more serious. They naturally cannot see this happen. It is important to help Uchiha Isha and Tanjiro improve their strength, but now is not the best time. This is also the biggest reason for their opposition. I also considered these. So I want to make some rotation arrangements, with half of the columns continuing to be on duty, and the other half helping out as sparring partners. During the sparring period, I will send senior swordsmen to the areas they are responsible for. Yubayashiki Yoya said. He naturally considered the inappropriateness of it and thought of the corresponding arrangements. Further allocations still need to be discussed with the 9 pillars. If that's the case, maybe it's possible. However, the number of sparring columns may need further regulation. I think 2 or 3 pillars might be enough for each sparring session. That's right, 2 is enough. After all, there are only 2 people who need to practice with you. One person is doing the tricks, and the other is doing the training. That's enough. Uzui Tenjin agreed. Why Isha, what do you think? Yubayashiki Yoya did not answer directly, but looked at Uchiha Isha who was a little confused. Uchiha Isha was indeed a little confused. He felt that the content of this meeting of the 9 pillars was to inform the 9 pillars of the existence and importance of the sun breathing. Then he would give himself the name of sun pillar and assign the corresponding area. At most, he would add content for the 9 pillars to report on their work in the past period and the situation in their regions. This sudden extra training made him laugh and cry. But there was nothing wrong with it. In the past 2 days, he had also been thinking about further improving his strength before the infinite train incident began. While improving to the real pillar level, he would also try to master the ability of the transparent world. The 9 pillars were very suitable for his sparring. With the 9 pillars as a whetstone, were you still afraid that your strength would not improve fast enough? That's fine. During this period, I can also pass on the advanced abilities above the full concentration breathing that I learned from my ancestors' memories to the pillars. Uchiha Isha said. Taking advantage of this meeting of the 9 pillars, he did not mind telling the Lord Uzumayashiki Yoya and the 9 pillars about the 3 advanced abilities of the stripes, the red sword and the transparent world. Oh, Advanced ability. Hearing this, the 9 pillars were naturally surprised. As the Lord, Yubayashiki Yoya showed a thoughtful expression. But he did not speak, but waited for Uchiha Isha's follow-up to confirm whether it was the ability he knew. If it was that ability, the classics in the Demon Slayer Corps did record it. However, like the sun breathing, there were only a few words left about this ability in the Demon Slayer Corps, and no specific training method was known. What ability? Fushigawashima Shima couldn't wait to ask. He almost rushed forward and grabbed Uchiha Isha's collar to ask. If it was someone else who said this, he might sneer or something. But since it came from Uchiha Isha, whose strength was at their level and who had mastered the sun breathing according to the memory of his ancestors, it was naturally very credible. Therefore, he was eager to know the ability of the full concentration on breathing. After becoming a pillar, the strength of the 9 pillars was more or less difficult to improve. Even if they practiced hard, the improved strength was quite limited. If the ability that Uchiha Isha said could bring them further improvement, it would be a great help to the overall improvement of the Demon Slayer Corps. There are 3 in total, namely, Spotted Pattern, Red Blade, and Transparent World. Uchiha Isha didn't care about the urgency of busy Kawashia, and quickly said it out. Stripes, Red Swords and a Transparent World. At this moment, not to mention Fusugawashia, even Rengoku Kyojuro and other pillars were a little confused. Is it really a stripe? But I didn't expect that there are 2 more abilities, Red Blade and Transparent World. Yubayashiki Yoya exclaimed. When he heard Uchiha Isha say the word mark, he had confirmed his guess. But he didn't expect that there are 2 other advanced abilities. Lord, you also know this. Yubayashiki Yoya's words surprised the 9 pillars. They had never heard this from their lord. Since there was an ability called Marked Pattern in addition to the breathing ability in the full concentration, and the Demon Slayer Corps also had relevant records, there was no reason for their lord not to tell them. According to the records handed down from the Warring States period, some swordsmen in the Warring States period had special markings on their bodies, which is why they almost killed Muzan Kibutsuji. The reason why I didn't tell you is that many excellent swordsmen and even pillars knew about this, and because they couldn't master the power of the stripes, they became exhausted and depressed. Therefore, the Demon Slayer Corps chose to conceal the existence of the markings from that time on. The 9 pillars were shocked at first, but then suddenly realized. They also understood the good intentions of Yubayashiki Yoshia. If they also became depressed because they could not open the pattern, it would be a huge blow and loss to the Demon Slayer Corps. In addition, the manuals of the Demon Slayer Corps do not record how to master the markings. Presumably, these important data disappeared along with the sun breathing in the past disaster. In addition to the above records, the only thing that has been passed down in written form is a sentence. That is, whenever a marked swordsman appears, more marked swordsmen will appear around him as if there is resonance. Yubayashiki Yoya continued to tell everything he knew about the marked. The subsequent words, especially the last sentence, also made all of their attention come to Uchiha Isha. Since Uchiha Isha mentioned the marked, has Uchiha Isha mastered the power of the marked? Can they master the marked directly or indirectly through this kind of resonance? Chapter 25. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Uchiha Isha actually felt an inexplicable pressure. Don't look at me like that. It may be possible to open the markings through this method of resonance, but I haven't opened the markings yet. Uchiha Isha shook his head. Cut. Fusugawashima suddenly felt disappointed. The other 9 pillars were also more or less disappointed. But when they thought that Uchiha Isha would tell them how to open the pattern, they were no longer disappointed. Hehe. Hearing the disappointed voice of Fusugawashima, Yubayashiki Yoya chuckled. It was right that Isha did not activate the mark, at least before the decisive battle with Muzan Kibutsuji. Yubayashiki Yoya explained. Although the specific reason is unknown, the swordsman who activated the mark in the Warring States period did not live past the age of 25. This may also be the flaw of the mark. This point is mentioned in the classics that record the mark. If Uchiha Isha activated the mark early, he would not have been able to fight Muzan Kibutsuji before the age of 25. The final result would only be to bury himself in vain. Life. From this we can see that Uchiha Isha is very rational. In other words, does the marking have a huge side effect? Kohiko Shinobu was keenly aware of this. It is very likely that the marking is a forbidden move. When using it, the user needs to sacrifice his life. Yes. Uchiha Isha confirmed. Although the stripes can bring about an all-round improvement and increase one's own strength, this comes at the cost of one's own vitality. People who have the stripes activated cannot live past the age of 25. If it is not a critical moment, it is better not to activate the pattern. Uchiha Isha said. 25. This cruel fact made all the 9 pillars silent. They were not very old. Apart from Tokaido Muchiro, who was only 14 years old, they were basically between 18 and 23 years old. But if the markings were activated, they would only have a few years left to live. However, the moment they joined the Demon Slayer Corps, they had already put life and death aside. As long as they could kill Muzan Kibutsuji and eliminate all the demons in the world, what would it matter if they died early? What if it is someone over 25 years old? The one who asked this question was Gyumei Izumi. He is the strongest among the current 9 pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps, and also the oldest. He is already 27 years old, which is beyond the lifespan of the stripes. Gyumei Izumi's question made the other pillars realize it late. They almost forgot that Gyumei Izumi was several years older than them. Thinking of this, they subconsciously looked at Uchiha Isha, waiting for Uchiha Isha's answer. If a person over 25 years old opens the mark, they will basically not survive the day. Uchiha Isha said. In the original history, the rock pillar, Sadness Island Jimei, did die in this way. With the death of Muzan Kibutsuji, Sadness Island Jimei, who had a broken leg, also died from the side effects of the mark. That's good. Tears kept falling from the blind eyes of Bai Mingyu's Xingming. He was still worried that he, who was over the age limit, would die immediately after the markings were activated. Now it seemed that even if the markings were activated, he would still have enough time to fight. Xingming. Yubayashiki Yoi sighed. He felt the strong determination of Gyumei. Thinking that Gyumei would die in the final battle due to the side effects of the markings, he couldn't help but feel a little guilty and regretful. The same was true for the other pillars. Even if they didn't die on the spot, they wouldn't have much life and time left. So what's the method? How to activate the markings? Buzukawa Shia urged. Although the side effects of the markings were lamentable, he was still eager to know how to activate the markings. The other pillars were the same. Let your body temperature reach 39 degrees and your heart rate exceed 200. This is the condition for opening the stripe. After reaching these 2 elements, your body will become as hot as if it is burning, and enter a high-risk state. As long as you can hold on, you can open the pattern. Uchiha Isaka said. That's really dangerous, it's life-threatening. Kohiko Shinobu frowned. As a doctor, she knew clearly that this state was dangerous and could be fatal. Oh, I thought it would be so difficult. This is a piece of cake. Fuzugawa Shia clicked his tongue. The method to open the pattern was so simple. He thought it must be difficult. I really envy your brain that can make such harsh conditions look like a piece of cake. Tomioka Jiuo made the first speech of this 9 pillars meeting. Perhaps he meant that Fuzukawa-san thought everything was too simple. But this statement would undoubtedly make Fuzukawa-san, the person involved, very angry, and he would want to fight with Tomioka Jiuo. Even the snake pillar Iguro Obanai, who had similar ideas to Fuzukawa-san, was the same. The unhappy look he gave Tomioka Jiuo at this moment proved this point. Next is the second ability, the red sword. Before Fuzugawa Shimizu and Iguro Obanai could start arguing with Tomioka Jiuo, and before Yubayashiki Yoya could speak to stop Fuzugawa Shimizu and the other 2, Uchiha Isha had already started talking about the second advanced ability, the red sword. As for the Hideo, I have mastered it. While speaking, Uchiha Isha drew out his black sun blade and gripped it tightly. As the strong grip was infused into the handle of the sun blade soon moved. The originally black blade turned red, as if it was about to burn. The temperature around the sun blade also suddenly rose, giving people an extremely burning feeling. The sun blade has actually changed. How could he make the Nichiren sword look like this? Is this the Hideo? The red blade instantly shocked the whole audience. Even the blind Yubayashiki Yoshiya and Bai Mayume could feel the burning breath not far away. The sun blade actually hides such a secret. This is something that has never been recorded in the existing books of the Demon Slayer Corps. In other words, the loss of the records of the red blade in the Demon Slayer Corps is more serious than that of the sun breathing and the marks, and not even a single word has been left. This also made Yubayashiki Yoshiya, as the Lord, very sad. The Demon Slayer Corps has really lost a lot of vital existences. The Hideo does not have side effects like the stripes, but the conditions for activating it are also quite harsh. It is necessary to infuse all the grip strength of the pillar-level swordsman into the sun blade in order to activate the he blade. Some even need to be in the spotted state to have enough grip to open the red sword. Therefore, pillars with weak energy may not be able to activate the red blade. Without waiting for everyone to ask, Uchiha Isha has already directly told the method of activating the red blade. When he mentioned the word energy, he subconsciously looked at where Koko Shinobu was. Because of her petite figure, she did not have enough strength to chop off the demon's head, so she could only kill the demon with poison. Even if she activated the stripes, Koko Shinobu would not be able to activate the red blade. It can be said that Koko Shinobu is likely to have no chance of using the red blade. Number. Being looked at like this by Uchiha Isha, Koko Shinobu immediately understood what Uchiha Isha meant. Her smiling face was now full of blue veins, and she was filled with a sense of shame and annoyance. Despite the fact, she still felt deeply offended. It was okay that the markings were difficult to activate for the time being, but now even the red sword was targeting her. In this way, the advanced abilities mentioned by Uchiha Isha were almost nonsense to her. Strength. It's so simple. The other pillars who knew the key to the red blade were all very surprised. Come to think of it, they didn't seem to have tried to infuse all their strength into the sun blade. If they had tried it, they might have discovered the existence of the red blade. That being said, Uchiha Isha said that just now. Even if they did it, their strength might not be enough to activate the red blade. There is no doubt that they could not discover the existence of the red blade. And speaking of strength. For a moment, not to mention the 8 pillars including Koko Shinobu, even Yubayashiki Yoshiya's family, all subconsciously looked at a certain pillar. The direction where he is. That is the position of the love pillar Kenroji Mitsurai. If Shinobu Koko is the weakest pillar among them, then Kenroji Mitsurai, who is a woman like Shinobu Koko, is the strongest pillar among them. Although Kenroji Mitsurai's body shape is not much different from that of an ordinary girl, her muscle density is more than 8 times that of an ordinary person. This also gives Kenroji Mitsurai an innate talent in strength. She can even lift a 30 jin pickle stone at the age of 1. Even the equally powerful Gyume of Baimanjaihu does not dare to say that he is definitely better than Kenroji Mitsurai. Big brother, stop looking at me like that. Being stared at by everyone, Kenroji Mitsurai covered her face with her hands, feeling extremely shy. Even though she knew why everyone was looking at her like that. It was like being executed in public. Mitsurai, try the method, Isha said. Yubayashiki Yoya said to Kenroji Mitsurai. With Uchiha Isha's red sword first, he was eager and looking forward to seeing other pillars master this feasible ability. In this way, even if the pattern cannot be activated temporarily, the red sword can also be used as a powerful weapon for the 9 pillars to kill demons. Such a hot red sword, they don't need to think about what it does. The killing power of the red sword on demons is absolutely powerful. Just using the red sword to burn demons directly, I'm afraid it can burn demons to death. I know. Under Yubayashiki Yoya's command, Kenroji Mitsurai no longer cared about being shy. She took a deep breath and pulled out her soft and long whip-like Nichiren sword. This was a special Nichiren sword made to match her love-breathing feature. Among the 9 pillars, except for the meteor hammer and chain axe used by rock pillar Gyume, her Nichiren sword was the most weird. Love. All concentrated breathing. Mitsurai Kenroji immediately entered a state of full concentration breathing, focusing all her strength on her arms and infusing it into the sun blade. Chapter 26. As Kenroji Mitsurai put all her strength into the grip on the Nichiren sword, everyone looked at her expectantly. The next moment, the Nichiren sword in Kenroji Mitsurai's hand moved. Buzz. The long Nichiren sword in Kenroji Mitsurai's hand began to change color. The color of the Nichiren sword changed from the magenta color corresponding to Kenroji Mitsurai's breath of love to a deep red. Even though the degree of red was not as deep as Uchiha Isha's just now, and the degree of burning was not as good, the Nichiren sword did change and became a red sword. Well. At the moment when the sun blade turned into a red blade, Mitsurai Kenroji suddenly felt unwell. A white mist appeared in her vision and she felt dizzy. Then, her body became unstable and she was about to fall to the ground. Fortunately, Shinobu Koko noticed the abnormality of Mitsurai Kenroji in time and reached out to support her. Is there any danger or side effect in opening the red sword? Koko Shinobu frowned slightly. The other pillars also had this thought, and were a little worried about Kenroji Mitsurai. No, it's not. I was too hasty. At this time, Kanroji Mitsurai, who had recovered from her shock, shook her head to deny it. At this moment, she looked blushing. Because I was afraid that I didn't have enough strength, I used all my strength, and as a result, I accidentally ran out of oxygen the moment I successfully opened the red sword. Ganlo Temple Mitsurai said embarrassedly. This was the truth behind her fainting and falling to the ground just now. Fortunately, this state did not have much impact. Except for the first few seconds, she recovered quickly. Is that so? Koko Shinobu and the others heaved a sigh of relief after hearing this. At the same time, they were all a little confused about whether to laugh or cry. Then, their attention was focused on the red sword in Kanroji Mitsurai's hand. It really worked. This is really magical. In this way, we also have the possibility of opening the Hideo. In the future, when we encounter the 12 demon months, our demon hunting mission will become easier. Uzui Tenjin, Rengoku Kyojuro, and Fushigawara Minami were amazed. Then, they all tried to open the red sword. But unfortunately, their strength was not enough. Their first attempts to open the red sword all failed. It seems that we don't have enough strength. We still need to exercise well to increase our strength. Otherwise, the Hideo can only be activated in the spotted state. Uzui Tenjin, Fushigawara Sanya, Rengoku Kyojuro, Tokaido Muchiro, Tomioka Jiyu, and Iguro Obanai were all disappointed. There was also some regret. On the other hand, the rock pillar, Gyume Hirame, also used all his strength and succeeded in making his weapons start to change color, just like Kanroji Mitsurai. The meteor hammer and chain axe in his hands gradually began to turn red and became hot. But compared to Kanroji Mitsurai's red sword, the red color and temperature of his meteor hammer and chain axe were obviously not as good as. Is this considered a success? But it feels. Everyone looked at Bai Minjaihu Xingming's weapon with some doubt. If you say Bai Minjaihu Xingming succeeded, Bai Minjaihu Xingming's weapon did change color. But looking at it like this, it gives people a feeling of being half-baked and unfinished. I do have enough strength, but it seems that the special nature of my weapon requires me to exert more strength. Bai Minjaihu Xingming panted slightly. His strength was indeed enough to activate the red blade. But his weapon was bigger and heavier than others, and he needed to exert more strength to activate the power of the sun blade. That's really unfortunate. Rengoku Kyojuro and the others looked at each other, not knowing whether to say that Bai Minjaihu Xingming was lucky or unlucky. Even Xingming failed. Even Yubayashiki Yoi sighed. He knew the strength of Baiming Island Xingming. But he didn't expect that Baiming Island Xingming also failed. Fortunately, Kanroji Mitsurai succeeded. This is a blessing in disguise. If you really can't use your own power to open the Hideo, you can also try to use external force to open the fake Hideo. By slashing the Nichiren swords against each other, the huge impact force temporarily transforms the Nichiren swords into Hei swords. Although this pseudo Hideo is not as powerful as the Hideo and has a time limit, it can still be of great help. Of course, the impact force itself must be large enough. Even if the strength required is not as high as the normal opening of the red sword, it still requires a lot of strength. Uchiha Isha informed everyone of the existence of the fake red sword. This works too. The pillars, who were still a little unwilling and regretful a second ago, immediately tried again according to what Uchiha Isha said. As they began to kill each other, a surprising scene happened. Their sun wheel swords did change and turned into red blades. However, in terms of power, it seemed that they were indeed not as powerful as the real red blades. They could also feel that the temperature and changes of the blades were slowly fading away over time. It's a bit troublesome, but it's doable. But in this case, don't we have to carry an extra sun blade? Iguro Obanai frowned. If you want to activate the pseudo Kurobuta in this way, you either need to work with other pillars, or bring an extra Nichiren sword with you to chop each other. In this regard, Uzui Tenjin and Bai Minjaihu Gyume have the upper hand. One of them is a dual sword player, and the other has both a meteor hammer and a chain axe. They don't need to prepare a Nichiren sword separately to clash with each other. Uzui Tenjin and Bai Minjaihu Gyume also activated the pseudo Kurobuta in this way. I will ask the swordsmith village to prepare everyone's secondary weapons as soon as possible. Yubayashiki Yoya said. Although the materials required for the weapons of the pillar-level swordsman are of very fine and precious quality, compared with the benefits brought by the red sword itself, this is nothing. By the way, what about the transparent world? The topic about the red sword gradually came to an end. Soon, Jozuo asked about the last ability that Uchiha Isha mentioned. Wouldn't this be another ability that has side effects or requires certain conditions to achieve? If you want to see through the world, it may be the easiest or the most difficult for you who have experienced many battles. Uchiha Isaka said. Just tell me, no matter how difficult it is. Fuzugawa Shia was still anxious. Uchiha Isha didn't care. Then, he began to explain the transparent world to everyone. The key to opening up a transparent world lies in the accuracy of breathing and movements, and whether you can use the smallest movements to exert the greatest power. In this way, your mind will gradually become transparent. At the beginning, you need to pick up the movements and feelings. As your five senses open up, you need to recognize even every blood vessel in your body. This stage will make the user feel very painful. After remembering and absorbing many things, close the unnecessary parts of the action and only keep what is needed for that action. Over time, the opening and closing of blood vessels and muscles in the body will become as quick and easy as the blink of an eye. Then, once your mind becomes transparent, you will begin to see a transparent world. It can be said that this is a realm that can only be reached after struggling with all one's strength and pain. Uchiha Isaka said. So that's how it is. Is this the technique and method? No wonder you said this is the easiest and most difficult for us. Shinobu Koko nodded slightly. The pillar-level swordsman has very high requirements for body control and skills. To see through the world is to strive for perfection, which is not easy. Then, what is the function of the transparent world? Asked Koko Shinobu. This is what the other pillars and Yabayashiki Yoya's family wanted to ask. Uchiha Isha did explain the method of entering the transparent world in detail. However, the specific function of the transparent world has not been explained. They also found it difficult to imagine the specific effect that the transparent world can bring, and they can only guess that it will be an auxiliary ability. People who open the transparent world can hide their fighting spirit and improve the speed of predicting movements and dodging attacks. Even the contraction of your own muscles can be felt more quickly and clearly. In addition, you can even clearly see the rise and fall of the opponent's lungs and the flow and contraction of blood vessels, and use this to see the opponent's movements and weaknesses clearly. Uchiha Isaka said. Is it the ability to anticipate the enemy and understand the opponent's weaknesses? Haha, interesting. It's really a very useful ability. Fuzugawa Shia's scarred face showed a slightly ferocious smile. This ability is indeed very useful, especially in combat. That's right. Rengoku Kyojuro, Dozui Tenjin and others also expressed their high approval. With such a transparent world, coupled with the markings that enhance their own strength, and the red sword that is more lethal to demons. Even though they have never fought against the upper demons in the 12 demon moons, and have never seen Muzan Kibutsuji, they are confident that they can defeat the upper demons and Muzan Kibutsuji, or even kill them. Isha is really a treasure that God has brought to our demon slayer corps. Yabayashiki Yoya, who was also shocked by the transparent world, didn't know how many times he had sighed today. After each sigh, he was even more shocked. The demon slayer corps failed to bring much help to Uchiha Isha, but they received such kindness and rewards from Uchiha Isha. This made him, the Lord, feel guilty and embarrassed. All the pillars, I don't think I need to say anything more. Next, I will train with Isha as much as possible and try to master these abilities. At least, we need to master the red blade and the transparent world as soon as possible. Yabayashiki Yoya said. Yes. All the 9 pillars responded in unison. They were willing to follow the orders of their lord, Dozuyashiki Yoya, and serve as Uchiha Isha's sparring partner. Not to mention, now they have received such a reward from Uchiha Isha, which makes them very grateful to Uchiha Isha. All they can do is to go all out. And during the period of serving as Uchiha Isha's sparring partner, they can also improve their own strength. This is a rare opportunity. Chapter 27. As the 3 abilities of the stripes, the red blade and the transparent world were known to the 9 pillars, this session of the 9 pillars meeting began to enter the second half. This is also the content of the normal 9 pillars meeting. The 9 pillars need to report their work, report the situation of their respective regions, and make applications or arrangements for various needs. As for the area that Uchiha Isha, who was appointed as the Sun Pillar, should be responsible for, it has not been determined yet. Everything will be arranged after the 9 pillars sparring is over, and Uchiha Isha has also made considerable progress. It will not be too late to make arrangements then. My lord, we will take our leave first. When the 9 pillars meeting officially came to an end, Uchiha Isha and the other pillars said goodbye to Yabayashiki Yoya and were about to leave the Yabayashiki residence. Looking forward to meeting you next time. Yubayashiki Yoya smiled. Next time. This is a delicate word. Perhaps, he could live to the next 9 pillars meeting. But by then, he would be even sicker and unable to support himself to hold the 9 pillars meeting. At that time, his wife Yubayashiki Amina might be the one to attend on his behalf. Then, please take good care of me, Uchiha. After leaving the Yubayashiki residence, Fushigawara Sanya kept getting ready for Uchiha Isha. In the list of 9 sparring partners, Fushigawara Sanya recommended himself to be the first sparring partner. As for the other sparring partner, it was the relatively free Koko Shinobu. However, Koko Shinobu was more likely to be the sparring partner for Tanjiro, who arrived later. With her strength and fighting style, she might not have a very good effect on Uchiha Isha. At most, she could only support and help Uchiha Isha in some minor matters and medical matters. Of course. Uchiha Isha's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing Fushigawara Shima like this, he can't wait to start fighting now. Let's do it. Frequent and fierce battles are also what he needs. He still lacks combat experience. The previous combat experience against demons may not be considered experience. Because in those battles, either the demons were far weaker than himself, or they relied on the special ability of the Sharingan. If he encounters an upper-rank demon or even Musen Kibutsuji in the future, it will not be as simple as it is now. After informing him, Fuzugawa Shima left first. Although he didn't need to go out on missions in the next few days, but would accompany Uchiha Isha to practice, he still had to make some preparations. For a moment, only Uchiha Isha and Koko Shinobu were left. Then for the next period of time, Uchiha-san, please rest at my place first. Koko Ninja smiled at Uchiha Isha. This statement is somewhat misleading. Uchiha Isha shrugged. Misunderstanding. Koko Shinobu was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted. Her still smiling face seemed to have a hint of embarrassment at this moment. Then Uchiha-san, please don't misunderstand. After all, the sparring hasn't started yet, and I don't want to make a move on Uchiha-san, who provided me with good research materials, right? Koko Shinobu said with a smile. Research material? Oh, you mean that one? As long as it can be used. Uchiha Isha reacted. What Koko Shinobu was referring to was, of course, the eyeball of the lower rank 5, Rui, which she had provided. Speaking of which, before the 9 pillars meeting began, Koko Shinobu didn't know that this was what she had provided, and thought it was the spoils of the other 9 pillars. That will definitely come in handy. With the organs of lower rank demons as materials, I can probably develop a more effective poison against demons. When it comes to business, Koko Shinobu's expression gradually eases. But soon, she changes the subject. Who made me a weak woman who can't even open the pseudo-red sword? This is self-deprecating, but it is also true. Among all the pillars, she is the only one who has not been able to successfully open the pseudo-red sword. However, when these words came out of Koko Shinobu's mouth, they somehow changed inexplicably. It was as if there was something hidden. Uchiha Isha. Uchiha Isha immediately understood what Koko Shinobu was referring to. It was the offense he had made to Koko Shinobu when he mentioned the red blade at the 9 pillars meeting. He had never thought that Koko Shinobu would still remember this little thing. This made him want to complain about the pettiness of a certain insect pillar. If you are new, practice more. Uchiha Isha didn't tolerate it and directly said this wise saying before crossing over. Number. As expected, a certain insect pillar was so upset that his veins popped out. Uchiha-san is so good at talking, there must be a lot of women who like him, right? Koko Shinobu gritted her teeth and said. You can't say no. Uchiha Isha touched his nose and said without any guilt. Koko Ninja. I said you were fat and you're panting? Is that what I meant? Shinobu Koko was both angry and amused. The 9 pillars. No, there seems to be a funny guy among the 10 pillars. This really makes the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps more distinctive. By the way, what happened to Tokaido-san's ancestors? There seems to be no record of moon breathing left in the Demon Slayer Corps, which is somewhat strange. Could it be that the breath of the moon was lost more thoroughly in the Demon Slayer Corps? Without continuing on this topic, Shinobu Koko turned to ask about this point that she felt was strange. She wanted to ask when Uchiha Isha mentioned the breath of the moon at the 9 Pillars conference, but she didn't have the chance to ask. It seemed that the Lord Yubayashiki Yoya had no intention of mentioning this matter either. Do you really want to know? Uchiha Isha looked at Koko Shinobu with a strange look. He was also a little curious at first why Yubayashiki Yoya didn't feel surprised when he knew about the existence of the moon breathing. But after thinking about it carefully, maybe Yubayashiki Yoya knew the reason more clearly. The classics on this aspect may have some records in the Demon Slayer core. Is this something that shouldn't be known? Koko Ninja raised her eyebrows and asked back. He turned into a demon. In order to avoid dying from the side effects of the stripes and to surpass his younger brother, Yoriichi Tsugakuin, he was successfully bewitched by Muzan Kibutsuji and fell into the path of demons. Uchiha Isha said. As for Tsugakuin Yunshen's current identity, that is, one of the upper-rank Kokushibo, he did not mention it. He also did not say that the reason why the Demon Slayer Corps suffered heavy losses and cut off the breathing of the sun and the breathing of the moon might be the work of Kokushibo. That's really sad and infuriating. Shinobu Koko's face, which was still smiling, was full of anger. Just for such a reason, he chose to join the path of demons. This is really selfish and unforgivable. Perhaps, this is also the reason that the Lord Yubayashiki Yoya has not mentioned before. It is not surprising that such a selfish person does not choose to leave his own breathing method. Fortunately, Tokaido Muchiro, who no longer uses Tsuki Koko as his surname and does not know the origin of his family, does not know about this. He does not need to carry the shame and hatred of his ancestors becoming demons all the way. When Shinobu Koko thought so, unknowingly, the butterfly house was already in front of him. Chapter 28. Butterfly House. This is not the second day after the Nine Pillars meeting. More than 2 months have passed since Shinobu Koko brought Uchiha Isha to the butterfly house. In these 2 months, Uchiha Isha has been getting along very well with Kanzaki Aoi, the 3 little ones, Teraka Kiyoshi, Nakahara Sumiko, Takata Nao, and others in the butterfly house. Because of his status as a pillar, they also admire and worship him very much. As for sparring, or hell training, these 2 months of hard training and repeated battles have naturally made Uchiha Isha make great progress. In addition, his physique has been greatly enhanced by the energy of the demon, which has greatly increased his strength. Now, he has not only truly controlled his own body, accurately breathed and moved, and reached the real pillar level. And even his goal of transparent world has been able to be initially opened. Such progress can be said to be terrifying. For the 9 pillars, it is even more so. At the beginning, Uchiha Isha could only barely cope. Later, he gradually gained the upper hand. A few days ago, he was even able to suppress almost all of them. Only the strongest rock pillar could occasionally gain the upper hand in the duel with Uchiha Isha and was invincible. But when it comes to protracted battles, Uchiha Isha's monstrous physical strength made them envious. Even Bai Minjaihu Xingming was unable to hold on in the end and would be defeated by Uchiha Isha. And this almost broke their hearts. If it weren't for the battle with Uchiha Isha, their strength has also made considerable progress. Some have even initially mastered the power of the transparent world and seen a brand new world. They are afraid that they will all give up. Of course, it is impossible to really give up. Not to mention, Uchiha Isha's rapidly improving strength is a great thing for both them and the Demon Slayer Corps. This also makes them more convinced. Uchiha Isha may indeed be the hope for the future of the Demon Slayer Corps, as their lord Yubayashiki Yoya said. Well, that's the end of my training. Thank you very much for your help during this period. After completing today's practice as usual, Mr. Uchiha Isha took a short break, and then thanked the Flame Pillar Rengoku Kyojuro and Sound Pillar Uzui Tenjin, who were responsible for his training in the past few days. More than 2 months of training is enough for him. His current strength cannot be improved by continuing to practice hard and sparring. In comparison, continuing to kill demons is a better choice. And his mission assignment is almost coming down after his lord Yubayashiki Yoya learns of his progress. It is we who should thank you, Isha. Rengoku Kyojuro and Uzui Tenjin responded with a smile. During this period of sparring, they made progress and learned a lot from Uchiha Isha. In particular, the 2 of them had a transparent world, which was only truly touched under the further guidance of Uchiha Isha. They were very happy and grateful for this. Then I'll leave Tanjiro to you guys from now on. Uchiha Isha looked at Tanjiro, who was practicing on his own not far away. Tanjiro came here to recover from his injuries half a month after starting to practice with him. After learning the importance of sun breathing and the importance of this training, he also devoted himself to the practice. Although his foundation is relatively poor and his start is not as good as Uchiha Isha, he has the help of the 9 pillars to train him. Now Tanjiro has already reached the level of full concentration breathing normal. As for going further, it is a bit difficult to continue for the time being. After all, his physique is not like a monster like Uchiha Isha. In addition, he does not have the Sharingan as a helper to help himself improve, so as to discover more shortcomings. But when Tanjiro finishes his practice, he will surely be able to reach a strength and level that is infinitely close to the strength and level of the 9 pillars after the training in the original history. This can be regarded as a leap forward. Just leave it to us. Although this kid is a little dumb, he is still a promising talent. Uzui Tenjin said with a disdainful tone. He didn't really dislike Tanjiro. It was mainly because compared with Uchiha Isha, Tanjiro's talent and progress were just like rotten wood. But Tanjiro's tireless spirit was still worthy of encouragement. Ha ha ha. I will take good care of him, too. Rengoku Kyojuro laughed out loud. He was more optimistic about Tanjiro than Uzui Tenjin. He even wanted to adopt Tanjiro as his stepson. He seemed to be attracted by the voices of Uchiha Isha and the other two talking. After finishing a practice of sun breathing, Tanjiro trotted over breathlessly and asked, "Brother Uchiha, are you leaving?" When he learned from the other pillars that Uchiha Isha had become a pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, he was shocked. But what shocked him the most was what the other 9 pillars said about his ancestors and Uchiha Isha's ancestors having similar experiences. It turned out that their ancestors were all friends of Yoriichi Tsujikuni, the creator of sun breathing. This kind of fate is simply indescribable. This also made him, who already admired Uchiha Isha, admire Uchiha Isha even more. In addition, Uchiha Isha has also taken good care of him and his sister Nezuko, who turned into a demon, during this period. In his heart, he even regarded the other party as his own brother. Yes, I guess it's time to continue the mission. You should also work hard and try to finish the training as soon as possible. Uchiha Isha comforted. Yes. I will try my best. Tanjiro said seriously. After saying that, he seemed to have thought of something. His expression became a little awkward, and he hesitated to speak. Don't worry. If you encounter the 12 Kizuki, I will help you collect some necessary items. Before Tanjiro could say anything, Uchiha Isha had already agreed to Tanjiro's request. In order to let his sister Nezuko recover soon, Tanjiro was entrusted by Tamayo to collect the blood of the 12 Kizuki. Of course, he knew this, and Tanjiro also told him. Tanjiro has been training in the Demon Slayer Corps and has no time to kill demons, so this task will be delayed. This inevitably made Tanjiro feel a little embarrassed. He didn't mind doing it for him and helping to collect the blood of the 12 Kizuki. He even asked Tanjiro to send a part of the eyeball of the lower string 5, Rui, which was previously given to Shinobu Koko to Tamayo. Tanjiro was very surprised at the time. Thank you, brother Uchiha Isha. Tanjiro kept thanking him. He felt that he had received a great favor from Uchiha Isha and he had no way to repay him. Quack. Without waiting for Uchiha Isha or Tanjiro to continue speaking, the voice of the crow was heard. This was Uchiha Isha's crow. When Uchiha Isha began to practice with the 9 pillars, his crow became idle. Except for occasionally helping to deliver some information, the most he could do was to help Uchiha Isha find and pay attention to clues about the Eternal Paradise cult so that he could find Doma later. Although the exact location of the Eternal Paradise cult has not been found yet, the area has been roughly delineated. It will take this period of time to find the exact address of the Eternal Paradise cult. Mission. A demon-like figure appeared in the protected area, and many people disappeared on the Kyoto Railway Mugen train in Kyoto. Please set off as soon as possible to find out whether it was done by an evil demon and kill it. The content of the task came from the mouth of the crow. Kyoto, this is the protection area that Yubayashiki Yoya assigned to Uchiha Isha. Of course, it is not just Kyoto. Most of the counties around Kyoto are also under the responsibility of Uchiha Isha. The reason for choosing here is that it is close to the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps for easy travel. In addition, these places are close to the areas under the responsibility of other pillars. If any accident occurs, it will also be convenient for the pillars to rush to Uchiha Isha. It can be seen that Yubayashiki Yoya's arrangements are cautious. It seems that my mission has come, so I will go to carry out the mission first. Uchiha Isha smiled and said to Tanjiro, Rengoku Kyojuro and Uzui Tenjin in front of him. Just now he said that the mission was approaching, and now the mission has just come. This is not a coincidence. But then again, since the mission location is the Kyoto Railway Infinite Train in Kyoto, isn't this the plot of the Infinite Train chapter? It seems that this time has come unknowingly. What is different is that this time the person in charge of the infinite train incident has changed from Rengoku Kyojuro to himself. And Tanjiro, there is no chance to go to the infinite train. Haha, it seems so. Why Isha, be careful on the road. If you need it, you can always ask the raven for help. Rengoku Kyojuro laughed. I guess, even if we need help, Isha won't need it. Uzui Tenjin complained. This lord can defeat them alone. If Uchiha Isha really needs help, is the other party a person they can afford? I'm afraid that by then it will be the time for the decisive battle with Muzan Kibutsuji, and they will need to attack with all their forces. That's true. Rengoku Kyojuro laughed again. It's true that what Uzui Tenjin said was right. Chapter 29. Kyoto Railway. When Uchiha Isha rushed here from Butterfly House, it was already evening. But this time is just right. Because there is just one last train of the infinite train at this time. The most important thing is that only at night can demons show their traces. After buying the ticket, he boarded the infinite train. Uchiha Isha found an empty seat and sat down. As soon as he sat down, he noticed an extremely strong smell of demons. Uchiha Isha was not surprised about this. In order to eat up the entire infinite train and strengthen his own strength, Nightmare, one of the lower moons, has gradually merged his body with the infinite train. It is not surprising that the entire infinite train is filled with the smell of demons. Although it is possible to successfully kill Nightmare by going directly to the front of the train and cutting off the neck that is fused with the front of the train, this is not actually the best way to deal with it. This will expose the existence of demons under the eyes of the public and cause social panic. After knowing the existence of demons, some people with ulterior motives will also beat some. This is also what the Demon Slayer Corps tried their best to avoid. As a pillar, Uchiha Isha can only act according to the rules. Therefore, he still needs to act according to the original development. When the infinite train sets off and travels to the uninhabited plane, and the people on the train are also hypnotized by the blood demon art of Nightmare, then he can take action. Ishako. When Uchiha Isha closed his eyes to rest, he heard a girl's voice. He opened his eyes and saw Kaneo, who looked timid but happy, appear in front of him. Kanoho, why are you here? Uchiha Isha asked in surprise. What happened in the past 2 months was not only the growth of strength of him, Tanjiro and the other 9 pillars. The same is true for Kaneo. After completing a mission, Kaneo was brought in by Koko Shinobu to practice with her in order to improve her strength. Therefore, Uchiha Isha tried to use his Sharingan to open Kaneo's heart during this period. Just as an apology for his rude behavior last time at Fujiki Mountain. As for his specific operation method, it was like this: use the Sharingan illusion to delete Kaneo's childhood sadness, tragic memories, and used illusion to let Kaneo experience the beautiful scenes of these years again. And meet the person she has been thinking about. Among them is Koko Kane, who has been dead for several years. After repeated operations, Kaneo finally slowly lifted the blockage in her heart. Moreover, she cried to her sister Koko Kane, whom she met again, in the illusion, and kept pouring out her emotions. After this cry, Kaneo became more like an ordinary person, no longer as closed as before. Since Uchiha Isha did not erase the traces of his own operations, this was naturally seen by Kaneo. Understanding her change is based on her help. How Kane became like this, but she was really happy for all the children of the Butterfly House. The only thing she couldn't worry about was Kane. The idea of being rushed away. She almost did not subconsciously think that it was Uchiha Isha deceived the feelings of Chounani. Come and carry out the mission. Kaneo looked embarrassed. I also saw 2 other swordsmen from the same period, and they seemed to be here too. Kanoho added. Although she had been in a closed state before, she still had some impression of her swordsmen from the same period. I see. Uchiha Isha nodded slightly. He roughly guessed who Kaneo was talking about. As expected, it was my wife Zenitsu and Inashuk. Although he triggered the butterfly effect, which caused great changes in the subsequent development, some of the content may remain unchanged. For example, there are still swordsmen from the Demon Slayer Corps participating in the Infinite Train incident this time, and 2 of them are Zenitsu and Inashuk who participated in this incident in the original development. It's just that Tanjiro's words were replaced by Kaneo. When Uchiha Isha was thinking this, the movement from outside attracted his attention. He looked through the window glass and saw that it was Zenitsu and Inashuk who caused the noise outside. Probably the reason was still the shock and noise when Inashuk first saw the train. This made him feel nostalgic and funny. You guys came just in time. I also need help with this mission. There may be 12 demon moons on this car. I will deal with them, and the 3 of you will kill the demons hidden in the carriages. You will notify the 2 of them in the name of the pillar. Uchiha Isha kept explaining in Kanao's ear. The demon on the infinite train is not just one of the lower moons, Nightmare. In addition, there are other demons scattered in other carriages. If he is alone, no matter if he kills the demon on the train first or kills Nightmare directly, the final result is that it is difficult to guarantee that ordinary people will not have accidents. In this way, he, the newly appointed Sun Pillar, will be negligent in his first mission. If someone helps to take care of the demons on the train, he will not need to worry. Now that Kanao and the others are here, it is most appropriate to let Kanao and the others deal with it. With Kanao's strength, she can be responsible for guarding 4 carriages and Zenitsu and Inashuk will be in charge of 2 carriages each. Yes. After hearing what Uchiha Isha said, Kanao's cute face was stunned for a moment, and then she looked serious. After that, she quickly trotted out of the carriage to inform Inashuk and Zenitsu who were still making a fuss outside the car. Soon, Zenitsu and the reluctant Inashuk were pulled in front of Uchiha Isha by Kanao. Is it you? The moment he saw Uchiha Isha. Not to mention Inashuk, Zenitsu was shocked and pointed at Uchiha Isha in disbelief. Although many swordsmen knew that Uchiha Isha became the 10th pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, there were still many swordsmen who didn't know. Zenitsu and Inashuk were 2 of them. Now that he heard Kanao say that there were tasks assigned by pillar-level swordsmen, and saw that the corresponding pillar was a swordsman of the same period when he took the assessment, it would be strange if he was not shocked. It was not long before the end of the final assessment, and one of their swordsmen of the same period had already become a pillar? Although it was unbelievable, he was also very envious and jealous. However, Zenitsu did not have any doubts about Uchiha Isha being a pillar. In addition to not thinking that there would be a swordsman who would. Besides joking about this, his extraordinary hearing also found clues. Whether it was Uchiha Isha's breathing intensity, heart rate, or muscle movement, they were far beyond his grandfather, the former sound pillar. And Inashuk also discovered this at this moment. He didn't have much impression of Uchiha Isha, and he didn't remember that Uchiha Isha was a swordsman of the same period as himself. But his keen sense of touch and sense of crisis honed in the mountains, after feeling the terrifying aura emanating from Uchiha Isha, he was immediately shocked. He deeply knew that the person in front of him was definitely not someone he could deal with. Under this huge sense of pressure, he, who had always been active and talkative, did not dare to take any action at this moment. Chapter 30. Uchiha Isha did not respond to Zenitsu's shock. Instead, he glanced at Inashuk beside him. Knowing Inashuk's temper, in order to prevent Inashuk from making trouble later, he showed a little of his own aura to scare him. Now it seems that the effect is very ideal. Presumably, Inashuk will honestly complete the tasks he assigned in the future. You all know the mission. Wait a minute, just do what Chaneo tells you. Kanao will be in charge of the first 4 carriages, and you will each take 2 of the last 4 carriages. Uchiha Isha said to Zenitsu and Inashuk. No, I am the one who should be in charge of 4 carriages. Inashuk clenched his right fist. Although he was indeed frightened by Uchiha Isha's terrifying strength, he couldn't help but feel a little dissatisfied when he heard that Kanao, a girl, was actually in charge of more carriages and demons. If the big king Inashuk couldn't beat Uchiha Isha, could he not beat this girl? Kanao is already the strongest swordsman below the pillar level. Even, he is already a swordsman of pillar level. Do you think you are stronger than the pillars? Uchiha Isha glanced at Inashuk. Kanao's strength is already close to the pillars, and after the special training some time ago, it is not an exaggeration to say that Kanao is now a pillar. Even Koko Shinobu feels that she has been pushed forward by the waves behind. She is thinking that her position as the pillar will soon be given to Kanao, and Kanao will become the new generation of the pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. That is when Inashuk was about to give his affirmation without hesitation. But when he thought about the terrifying Uchiha Isha in front of him, he suddenly felt a little unsure. He was stronger than the pillar? Obviously not. So, Kanao actually had such a strong power? At this moment, even Inashuk began to doubt his life. Was he, Inashuk, too weak, or was Kanao too strong? She too. Zenitsu beside him was shocked again. It's okay for Uchiha Isha, but even Kaneo, who is in the same class as them. He was a little happy when he saw that Kaneo, a cute girl, was also on this mission. At this moment, he was so shocked that he wanted to dig a hole and crawl into it. "Grandpa, do I really have the talent to be a swordsman?" Zenitsu directly doubted his life. "Okay. Take a break while you still have time to rest. Even if you want to rest later, there will be no time." Uchiha Isha did not continue to pay attention to Inashuk and Zenitsu. After motioning them to find an empty seat to rest, he asked Kaneo to sit in the empty seat next to him and have a good rest. Seeing Uchiha Isha's gesture, Kaneo quickly and happily sat next to Uchiha Isha. She almost leaned on Uchiha Isha. This made Zenitsu, who was a little bit defensive in the last second, further defeated. He kept biting his sleeves and almost tore off a part of his sleeves. He is so strong and has such a cute girl to accompany him. It really makes people jealous and want to replace him. The infinity train is about to depart. Woo woo woo. With the roar of the train, the infinite train officially departed. As the infinite train began to move, the conductor in charge of checking tickets soon appeared. "Please let me see your tickets." The train attendant with a thin face checked tickets all the way to Uchiha Isha and his companions. Seeing the appearance of this train attendant, Uchiha Isha narrowed his eyes slightly. This train attendant was one of the humans bewitched by Nightmare, one of the lower strings. By checking tickets, he could trigger Nightmare's blood demon art, which would make the people on the train fall into a deep sleep. And he naturally couldn't let the other party succeed. Otherwise, when he kills the demon later, he will have to wait for Kaneo and the other two to wake up on their own initiative. So, Uchiha Isha directly opened his Sharingan under his bangs quietly, and a Sharingan illusion was thrown on the train attendant. This made the train attendant fall into an illusion immediately, thinking that he had already cut the tickets for Uchiha Isha and his companions. This scene made Zenitsu on the side confused. Since he didn't notice Uchiha Isha's Sharingan, he didn't understand the train attendant's neglect. What about the ticket check? Why did he just walk past them? On the contrary, Inashuk clearly felt a chill when Uchiha Isha's Sharingan opened. This also made him more afraid of Uchiha Isha. What a powerful pillar, even his eyes are so strange and powerful. As for Kaneo, she was the only one who could see Uchiha Isha's Sharingan clearly. She was not surprised by Uchiha Isha's Sharingan. After all, she had personally experienced the power and help from Uchiha Isha's Sharingan before. She subconsciously thought that this was a unique ability created by Uchiha Isha. Just like the flower-breathing final form, the red eyes on the other side, which she had already created. And Uchiha Isha's Sharingan is even better than her red eyes on the other side. Oh! When the conductor ignored Uchiha Isha and the others and continued to check their tickets, the first demon on the infinite train appeared. It was a tall demon with sharp horns on its head and shoulders. The two distorted faces on his face made people feel very scared and disgusted. Demon! Demon! The sudden appearance of the demon frightened Zenitsu. He was already very surprised when he knew there was a demon on the infinite train. Now seeing such a scary demon suddenly appear, he was even more frightened. They didn't even notice the figure of this scary demon. It must be hidden using vampire magic. Chineo, it's time for you to go out. I'm also going to get ready to leave. Uchiha Isha said to Kaneo and the others. At this moment, the infinite train had already reached a deserted grassland. As for ticket checking, only this carriage had not yet been fully checked, but it was almost done. Many people had already fallen asleep due to the power of the blood demon art, and only a few people were still awake. With the appearance of the demon, the time for them to attack had come. Next, there was no need to wait any longer. Yes. Kaneo responded immediately. The next moment, she stood up from her seat and pulled out the sun blade she had hidden on her body, ready to attack. Flower breathing type 4, red flower clothes. Kanaho burst out at an extremely fast speed, instantly coming in front of the evil demon and launching a fierce double slash. Almost as soon as the knife was raised, the head fell off. The demon's head was directly chopped off and fell to the ground. Then, it was reduced to ashes. So strong. Zenitsu and Inashuk were stunned when they saw Kaneo kill the demon instantly. This demon, who looked very powerful, was killed so easily by Kaneo. They didn't expect Kaneo's strength to be as strong as Uchiha Isha said. Is this the pillar? What are you doing? Why don't you get going? Uchiha Isha gave Zenitsu and Inashuk a slap on the head. Then, he went straight to the front of the car and was about to cut off Nightmare's head. The pain in his head made Zenitsu react belatedly. Inashuk, let's go. Zenitsu quickly took out his hidden Nichiren sword and said to Inashuk. Don't give orders to me, my great king. Inashuk said dissatisfiedly, not caring about the pain on his head. As he spoke, he had already taken out his double Nichiren swords. And he headed for the rear carriage. Uchiha Ishi's temporary demon hunting team, all members are on the move. Chapter 31. It's such a happy thing to die in a dream. Above the front of the infinite train. Nightmare didn't know that not everyone had fallen asleep. At this moment, he was opening his arms to the wind blowing in front of him, content with his masterpiece. Soon, everyone in the car, including the swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps, would become his meal. Of course, for the sake of safety. Before that, those who were bewitched by him needed to destroy the spiritual cores of Uchiha Isha and others first. This is also his killer move. If the spiritual cores of those who fall into his blood demon art are destroyed, they will lose consciousness permanently and become vegetable-like beings at his mercy. However, this move also has considerable risks. If you enter the other person's dream, the self-awareness of the owner of the dream is very strong. He himself may resonate with it and be affected by it in turn. This is also the reason why Nightmare chooses to trick humans into connecting to dreams on his behalf, thereby destroying the spiritual cores of others. At this moment, he had already ordered the humans who had been bewitched by him to go out and enter the dreams of Uchiha Isha and the others and destroy their spiritual cores. How could you still be awake? How come? Hateful. When Nightmare ordered the humans he had bewitched to go out, Uchiha Isha had already encountered 4 people from the front. Seeing Uchiha Isha who remained awake, the 2 men and 2 women were all shocked and unbelievable. Don't get in our way. Just go into the dreamland quietly so that we can have a good dream. After the shock, the girl with pigtails looked angry and ferocious, holding a kitchen knife in her hand, trying to force Uchiha Isha to sleep. Then dream on. Uchiha Isha snorted coldly. He had no good feelings towards these people who harmed others for their own selfishness. He knocked the 4 people in front of him unconscious with the back of his knife almost one by one. And he was able to continue to move towards the connection of the front of the car. Although there was no one blocking the way, it was not peaceful for Uchiha Isha. The infinite train, which had almost merged with the Nightmare, had begun to flesh. Huge arms and tentacles kept coming towards Uchiha Isha and attacked him. In addition, eyes appeared on the arms and the walls of the carriage, constantly hypnotizing Uchiha Isha. Fortunately, all these were useless to Uchiha Isha. The scorching sun blade, which turned into a red sword, easily cut off the attacking limbs. The hypnosis brought by those eyes could not play any role under Uchiha Isha's Sharingan. They were even hypnotized by the Sharingan's illusions one by one. This also allowed Uchiha Isha to easily kill to the connection of the front of the train. He didn't fall asleep. The strange feeling coming from the body in the carriage finally made Nightmare standing on the roof discover the abnormality. This shocked him and made him extremely angry. How does that human conductor do things? Compared with his attainments in hypnosis, his fighting ability is not that strong. At the moment, he can only let the train that has become his body control Uchiha Isha's actions as much as possible, and constantly use the blood demon technique to force coma and sleep eyes to hypnotize the other party into a dream. Only in this way can he get rid of Uchiha Isha. Thinking of this, Nightmare immediately let the big hands with eyes continue to grow in the carriage, attacking Uchiha Isha. If he can't stop Uchiha Isha, and let Uchiha Isha cut off the connection between the carriages of the locomotive, he will surely die. No use, no use, no use. Seeing that there were many huge arms and eyes blocking him, Uchiha Isha sneered. He used Sun Breathing Type 6, Burning Bones and Sun Breathing Type 11, Halo Dragon, Head Dance, and Sun Breathing Type 12, Flame Dance alternately, attacking continuously. The attacking tentacles were like leaves falling in the wind in front of his attack, and they quickly drifted away. And those eyes were blinded one by one in an instant, and failed to work successfully. Can't stop it, can't stop it. Seeing his offensive being crushed, Nightmare's eyes were filled with despair. This was the first time he had encountered such a powerful swordsman. If this continued, he was afraid that he would really die at the hands of Uchiha Isha. At the same time, in a mansion in Asakusa, Muzan Kibutsuji also showed a look of shock, and then became extremely angry. The vase in his hand was smashed to pieces by him. How can it be? Could it be that the boy wearing the Hanafuda earrings last time was just a feint by the Demon Slayer Corps? Kibutsuji Muzan gnashed his teeth. Not long ago, when he saw the Hanafuda earrings worn by Tanjiro, he saw the shadow of Yoriichi Tsugakuni for a moment. So much so that he was directly scared away, and later sent the two demons, Shiwaha and Susumamoru, to test and kill Tanjiro. Tanjiro, who was being hunted by him, had never used Yoriichi Tsugakuni's sun breathing. Instead, Uchiha Isha, who appeared at this moment, used Yoriichi Tsugakuni's sun breathing, and also showed extremely terrifying strength. This made him subconsciously panic, fearing that another Yoriichi Tsugakuni would appear. Damn you Tsugakoku Yoriichi, you're dead, why do you still want to keep your breath of the sun? In anger, Muzan Kibutsuji's arms turned into huge arms, and he continued to destroy the room to vent his anger. The servants and butlers who broke into the room because of the noise also died at Muzan Kibutsuji's hands. The room was like a sea of blood and corpses. Akaza, kill this man for me. After venting his anger, Muzan Kibutsuji immediately ordered Akaza, who was nearby, to kill Uchiha Isha. He didn't believe that there would really be another Tsugakoku Yoriichi in the world. As long as the opponent was not the second Tsugakoku Yoriichi, Akaza would have a chance to kill him. At worst, even if Akaza was Uchiha Isha's opponent, he could test the limit of Uchiha Isha's strength for himself. I'll be there soon, Master Muzan. Akaza, who received the remote notification from Muzan Kibutsuji, showed a ferocious look on his face. Hunting powerful swordsmen, especially the pillars. Nothing can bring him more pleasure than this. Even if the opponent is the sun-breathing swordsman that his immediate superior is afraid of. Then, following the direction given by his immediate superior Muzan Kibutsuji, Akaza immediately rushed to the infinite train. On the other side, after easily breaking through all the counterattacks that Nightmare, one of the lower strings, could make, Uchiha Isha no longer had the heart to continue playing. Sun breathing 2, Biraton. Uchiha Isha's sun blade suddenly slashed downwards. No! Amidst Nightmare's angry roar, the burning red blade cut through the front of the train like a piece of paper, and also cut off Nightmare's neck. As his neck, which was fused with the infinite train, was cut off, the head of his clone standing on the roof was also separated from his head at the same time. Boom! Boom! The noise after Nightmare was beheaded was quite loud. As Nightmare was dying, the entire infinite train began to lose control. The rear carriages of the infinite train kept twisting and shaking, like a decapitated snake struggling in pain. Uchiha Isha had already anticipated this scene. Stop it! Uchiha Isha jumped off the infinite train from the severed front connection. Then, he continued to attack the carriage that was about to fall to the ground to restore its balance. Otherwise, even if the passengers in the infinite train did not die in the belly of the demon, they would die in the car accident of the infinite train. Boom! Boom! Uchiha Isha's attacks kept hitting the derailed carriages. Under his repeated attacks, the twisting carriages finally stopped twisting and returned to the original tracks and slowly stopped. Even the rollover in the original history had never happened. It can be seen that each attack was just right, with neither too much nor too little force. This was also thanks to his current strong physique and strength. Otherwise, he could only do his best to the extent that Rengoku Kyojuro could originally do. I lost. I'm dying. Even before he died, he wanted to kill some humans and the swordsman in his body, but he failed to do so. This is really a nightmare. The head of the nightmare that fell to the ground and was disappearing showed regret. Then sink completely into your nightmare. Uchiha Isha, who completed the work of balancing the infinite train, did the same thing as he did to lower string 5, lay last time. He took out the eyes of Nightmare directly as research materials for Koko Shinobu and Tamayo. What was different was that he took out both eyes this time. Then he used the needles given to him by Tanjiro and Koko Shinobu to draw 2 large tubes of blood from Nightmare's body that had not yet dissipated. Completely lost in a nightmare. He. Nightmare didn't care what Uchiha Isha did. After he finished speaking, his body and head turned into ashes in an instant. The flesh and blood that merged with the infinite train also turned into nothingness in an instant. Fortunately, most of the infinite train body that was not completely merged was still there. The passengers in the train were also able to continue to be unconscious in the infinite train, and they didn't have to sleep in the wilderness tonight. Coming. Long-lost energy. After the nightmare dissipated, Uchiha Isha soon felt the familiar movement. Powerful energy flowed out from the ash that the nightmare turned into and was absorbed by his Sharingan. The 3 megatama in his eyes also began to spin rapidly. That's a lot of energy. Is it because Nightmare is one of the lower moons, ranked the strongest among the lower moons, and recently obtained Musan's demon blood? As lower-ranked demons, the energy intensity is 10 times stronger than that of the upper and lower 5th demons. The abundant energy made Uchiha Isha feel comfortable. This significantly improved his Sharingan pupil power and physique. This also further improved his own strength in disguise. If it were me now, I'm afraid that even the rock pillar, Sadome Saka Yukimura, would find it difficult to gain an advantage over me, right? Unfortunately, although the improvement brought by the seemingly powerful energy is not small, it is still a long way from him to open his Mangekyō Sharingan. If converted into progress, it may not even be 0.1%. Although he knew this when he opened the 3 Megatama Sharingan. But now the lower rank demons are unexpectedly small in his evolution. Fortunately, he also gained pupil techniques to make up for it. Chapter 32. Nightmare. Like the previous eye techniques Kai and K, this is another new eye technique that Uchiha Isha has obtained. As for the ability of the eye technique Nightmare, it is naturally similar to the blood demon technique of Nightmare. Originally, Uchiha Isha was not optimistic about this. After all, the ability of Nightmare overlaps with some of the abilities of his Sharingan, whether it is hypnosis or creating dreams. At most, there is an additional ability to destroy the opponent's spiritual core to destroy the opponent's consciousness. And this ability is a double-edged sword. But in fact, when Uchiha Isha got the eye technique Nightmare, he felt unexpectedly happy. As a eye technique, Nightmare can not only greatly enhance the illusion ability of the Sharingan in this aspect. Moreover, it can also destroy the opponent's spiritual core by invading the spiritual world through illusion. And he himself will not be resonated by the opponent's self-consciousness, and thus be affected by the opponent. The most important thing is that he can also superimpose the illusion ability of the Sharingan and the ability of Nightmare to create dreams. In this way, the effect of dream in a dream can be achieved, just like inception. And if the person trapped in this eye technique wants to get rid of the dream by suicide and regain consciousness, the influence and interference brought by the illusion will also make his real body commit suicide. Even if the other party can wake up and leave the dream, he will end up committing suicide. However, this is a little difficult to kill a demon. The vitality of a demon cannot lead to death by suicide. Unless the demon uses the Nichiren sword to commit suicide, or uses the wisteria flower poison to commit suicide. For a demon like Musan Kibutsuji who has broken through the boundary between life and death and does not have a weakness in the neck, even suicide with the Nichiren sword is useless. Even the poison that can kill the upper rank demon, he may be able to slowly decompose and digest it. That being said, Uchiha Isha didn't want the demon to commit suicide directly. As long as he can use this to control the demon for part of the time, he can personally kill the demon trapped in the dream. This is really good. In short, Uchiha Isha was quite satisfied with his new eye technique. Cha-cha-wan. After feeling his own eye technique, Uchiha Isha called out this name in a certain direction. This is the name of the cat raised by Tamayo. Originally, Cha-cha-maru was always following Tanjiro so that he could send the collected demon blood to his master Tamayo. Since Tanjiro is currently training, this task was placed on him. Cha-cha-maru also followed him at Tanjiro's notice. Meow. A cat's cry was heard. Cha-cha-maru, who was wearing an invisibility charm made by Yoshiro, a subordinate of Tamayo, suddenly appeared in front of Uchiha Isha. There are 2 copies in total, one for Tanjiro, and ask him to give it to Shinobu Koko. The other one, bring it to your master. Uchiha Isha said to Cha-cha-maru. He put the 2 needles and 2 eyes in his hand on the bag on Cha-cha-maru and fixed them firmly. Meow. Cha-cha-wan nodded. After that, under the effect of the invisibility talisman, its figure became transparent again and disappeared into the darkness. Ishako. When Cha-cha-maru's figure completely disappeared, Kaneo ran out of the infinite train with Zenitsuo and Inashuk. It was almost the moment when Uchiha Isha killed Nightmare, one of the lower ranks. They also killed the demons in the carriages they were responsible for. This also ensured that there were no casualties in all the carriages. Their mission this time was successfully completed. Kaneo, please notify Yin to help deal with it. Also, be aware of everything around you. In addition to the lower rank one, there may be new demons that appear later, and they may be upper rank demons. Uchiha Isha said. He could not guarantee whether the demon that would appear after Nightmare's death would still be the upper rank 3, Akaza. But Muzan Kibutsuji would definitely send an upper rank demon to attack him, that's for sure. Because this time he did not use the Sharingan to affect Nightmare's senses, allowing Nightmare to clearly see his son breathing. Today, he has no need to do so. Even if it is to kill himself, a swordsman who uses sun breathing, Muzan Kibutsuji would send a nearby upper rank demon to kill him. I know. Kaneo suddenly became nervous when she heard that. After all, this is an upper rank demon. Although the Demon Slayer Corps has killed many lower rank demons from ancient times to the present, there is no record of killing an upper rank demon. On the contrary, many pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps are suspected to have died at the hands of upper rank demons. Even her most grateful and favorite sister, Butterfly Kane, died at the hands of an upper rank demon. As for the information about that upper rank demon, no one in the Demon Slayer Corps knows. At most, they know some of the other party's weapon characteristics and preferences. This also makes the existence of the upper rank demon very mysterious and powerful. Now there is information that there is a suspected upper rank demon attack. How can she not be nervous? I will ask the crow to ask Sister Shinobu and the others for support. Kaneo was about to ask her crow to ask for help from other pillars. Okay. Uchiha Isha nodded slightly. It might not be too late to ask for help now. With his strength, he might not need the help of other pillars at all. This is especially true if the upper rank demon is indeed Akaza. Just the fact that he has mastered the transparent world is destined to restrain Akaza's fighting spirit. Coupled with the power of the red sword and his own physical fitness. Even if he does not risk opening the pattern, he can still defeat and kill Akaza. Not to mention, he also has the Sharingan. Are there really upper rank demons? No way, are we going to die here? Unlike Kaneo's nervousness, Zenitsu was scared to death at this moment, trembling and crying. On the contrary, Inashuk seemed full of fighting spirit. No matter if he is a lower rank demon or an upper rank demon, I can kill him. Inashuk waved the Nichiren sword with a broken blade in his hand. Stupid, this is an upper rank demon. Zenitsu said unhappily. Sometimes, he really admired the ignorance of this pighead. They have not even fought against the lower rank demons, how can they fight against the upper rank demons? The upper rank demons, even the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps may not be able to defeat them. In this regard, he has heard about the relevant deeds from the grandfather of the former Sound Pillar. Okay, stop arguing. I don't need your help later. You are no match for the upper rank demons. Just help protect the ordinary people on the train. Before Inashuk could start arguing with Zenitsu, Uchiha Isha, who was a little impatient, interrupted the two. He himself began to pay full attention to the movements around him. Seeing Uchiha Isha like this, Zenitsu and Inashuk stopped talking. According to Uchiha Isha's instructions, they and Kaneo each guarded around the infinite train, waiting for the next incident. It's coming. About 7 or 8 minutes later, Uchiha Isha felt a strong breath approaching quickly. It seems that the upper demon is coming very fast. Akaza. It seems that this has not changed. Using his Sharingan, Uchiha Isha has already observed the attacking figure. It is the upper 3 Akaza. Upper 3. An upper rank demon really has arrived. When Akaza's figure approached, Kaneo, Zenitsu and Inashuk also observed Akaza's attack from a close distance. When they saw the words upper rank and 3 in Akaza's eyes, they were all shocked. Not only is an upper rank demon coming, but it is also such a high-ranking existence? Then the opponent's strength is not. For a moment, Kaneo and the other two were very worried about Uchiha Isha. Kaneo was even ready to go against Uchiha Isha's instructions just now and help Uchiha Isha at any time. She already has the strength to match the 9 pillars and can help Uchiha Isha fight. Hehe. Is that you? The swordsman who was specially assigned by Muzan-sama to use the breathing of the sun. It seems that you knew I would come and were waiting for me here. Akaza didn't pay attention to the weak Kaneo and the other two not far away. Maybe Kaneo's strength and aura would make him pay attention. But at the moment, he paid more attention to Uchiha Isha, the person who was personally ordered to be killed by his immediate superior, Lord Muzan. That's right. Uchiha Isha stood up. He had already drawn the sun blade from its scabbard and was ready to fight. You seem to be confident in your abilities. Yes, just by looking at your eyes, I can already see how strong you are. You should be the pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps, right? Akaza narrowed his eyes slightly. The tempered fighting spirit on Uchiha Isha's body, just by looking at it, he could see how powerful Uchiha Isha was. In fact, it was close to the Supreme Realm. Chapter 33. The 10th Pillar of the Demon Slayer Core, Uchiha Isha. Uchiha Isha responded lightly. That's really great. This is my first time facing the Sun Pillar. Let me see how strong you are, the Sun Pillar of the Demon Slayer Core. Akaza showed a grim smile on his face. After saying that, he took his own fighting stance. His snowflake-shaped technique was already unfolding under his feet. Destruction-killing Luo Needle. This is the core of Akaza's Blood Demon technique. Luo Needle can sense the opponent's fighting spirit like a compass, making its own attack and evasion actions as accurate as being attracted by a magnet. The stronger the opponent's fighting spirit, the stronger the reaction of Luo Needle, and the higher the corresponding strength and accuracy. However, for opponents without fighting spirit or who have reached the Supreme Realm, transparent world, Luo Needle cannot sense them. How pathetic! Facing Akaza who was performing the technique, Uchiha Isha felt sorry for him. Unlike other upper-ranked demons, Akaza forgot everything about his human life after becoming a demon. He became stronger, and also forgot what goal he wanted to protect. However, his blood demon technique and attire were filled with everything he cared about most when he was a human. The snowflake pattern of Akaza's Nara needle technique was the pattern of his lover Koihoki's hairpin. And his pink hair color was exactly the color of Koihoki's favorite kimono. The name of his blood demon technique was the name of the fireworks he and Koihoki had seen. But Akaza himself had forgotten all of this. Isn't this a kind of irony? Do you still have time to sigh? Akaza snorted coldly. Uchiha Isha's inexplicable sigh made him subconsciously feel a little unhappy. Destruction kill air style. Akaza immediately punched the air at the position where Uchiha Isha was. In an instant, 6 huge punches turned into powerful shock waves and were about to hit Uchiha Isha heavily. Facing the fierce attack, Uchiha Isha had no intention of resisting at all. Under the dynamic vision of the Sharingan, coupled with the transparent world that had already opened up when Akaza attacked, Akaza's attack route has been completely seen through by him. He took small steps like this, twisting his waist with some ease, and narrowly avoided the incoming punches one by one. How is it possible that he dodged my attack so easily? Seeing this scene, Akaza was shocked. His attack was clearly launched by locking Uchiha Isha's fighting spirit. There was no reason for Uchiha Isha to dodge. The most he could do was to launch a powerful attack to block his attack. No. Akaza suddenly found something wrong. At this moment, the fighting spirit he detected from Uchiha Isha seemed to have changed. The fighting spirit on Uchiha Isha's body has been completely restrained, and no trace of fighting spirit can be seen. This change can only have one reason. He has only seen it in one person. That is Upper Moon 1 Kokushibo. This is a powerful existence that he has challenged several times over the past few hundred years but was defeated every time. And the reason why the other party was able to defeat him was because he had reached the Supreme Realm that he had never reached. So, did Uchiha Isha also reach that realm? When Akaza was shocked. At this moment, Uchiha Isha was very happy. The source of his joy lies in his harvest at this moment. His Sharingan seems to have successfully copied Akaza's blood demon art. This is the first time in history. Previously, when he copied the blood demon art of other lower-ranked demons, he basically ended in failure. But this time, he succeeded. It seems that his previous guess was not wrong. His Sharingan can copy abilities such as fighting techniques and breathing techniques that humans can master from demons. There is no need to kill demons and get the opponent's energy, so that the opponent's blood demon art can be obtained directly or indirectly. Even if there are differences between the moves he used and the original blood demon art copied from Akaza. But in terms of power, there will not be much difference. As long as he is strong enough and his fighting spirit is strong enough. At this point, his physical fitness, which is so strong that it can be compared with that of demons, also played a significant role. Have you reached the highest realm? Akaza didn't know that his blood demon art was successfully copied by Uchiha Isha, a human. After making a certain guess, he clenched his fists at this moment with shock and jealousy in his eyes. It was okay that the highest realm that he had spent hundreds of years to reach was reached by Kokushibo early. Now even Uchiha Isha, a human, has surpassed him. This makes him like a clown. His efforts over the past hundreds of years seem to have become useless. What do you think? Uchiha Isha held the sun blade in front of him and chuckled. Just try and you will know. Akaza's eyes turned red. Whether Uchiha Isha really reached this supreme realm, his next attack could further prove it. And even if Uchiha Isha really reached the supreme realm, it did not mean that he would lose to Uchiha Isha. Even if they both reached the supreme realm, there was still a gap in strength. He did not think that Uchiha Isha would be another Kokushibo. This was impossible. Destruction killing annihilation style. Akaza punched again. He threw a destructive punch. The air exploded due to the huge pressure of the punch, and there was a roar. At this moment when the compass needle was ineffective, Akaza could only rely on his own eyes, combat experience, and judgment. He didn't think that Uchiha Isha could easily dodge this punch. In fact, it was true. The powerful power and range attack of the destruction-killing annihilation style also forced Uchiha Isha to counterattack. Sun-breathing type 5, train. Uchiha Isha launched a counterattack. The next moment, his body jumped high and spun in the air. However, rather than saying that he took the initiative to jump up, it would be better to say that his body followed the attack of the sun blade. And this jump also allowed him to cleverly avoid the incoming destruction-killing type. When his body fell, he had already appeared behind Akaza. The sun blade in his hand had already slid across Akaza's back, leaving a huge wound. This was when Akaza reacted and dodged immediately. Otherwise, this knife would have split him in half. Well! Damn it! Akaza let out a hoarse roar. He had never expected that his sure-win attack would be easily avoided by Uchiha Isha. He himself was even hurt by Uchiha Isha's attack. Fortunately, he sensed the fatal danger and did not let his body be split in half by Uchiha Isha's sun blade. Even so, the knife wound on his back made him feel extremely painful and miserable. Is this the red sword that Lord Muzan mentioned? It is indeed. It is indeed an extremely dangerous existence. Akaza's eyes flashed with ferocity. There was a trace of fear and dread in his eyes. In addition to informing Uchiha Isha of the existence and the sun breathing he used, his immediate superior, Muzan Kibutsuji, also mentioned the so-called red blade to him, asking him not to be hit by the red blade's attack because of carelessness. Otherwise, even if he is an upper-rank demon, he is not strong enough to be chopped. His current situation is indeed the case. The burning sensation and destructive power brought by the red blade made it impossible for the minor injuries on his back to heal. The surrounding flesh and blood were also affected. Even if this would not affect him as a whole, it would become a considerable hidden danger. If there were a few more such moves, his own strength would suffer huge losses. Do you still have time to be shocked? Seeing that Akaza did not continue to attack because of the wound left by the red sword on his back, Uchiha Isha, who once again copied Akaza's blood demon art, took the initiative to attack. He used the sun-breathing 7th type, Flying Wheel Yanjian to slash at Akaza's neck. The sun wheel sword in the red sword state was about to fall on Akaza's neck with flaming sword energy. Don't even think about it. Destruction-killing foot-style flowing flash group of lights. Akaza dodged Uchiha Isha's slashing blow with his head bent down. Then, he lifted his right foot and launched a series of fierce kicks at Uchiha Isha behind him. Just like the previous destruction-killing air style. Every kick brought by the destruction-killing foot-style flowing flash group of lights brought an extremely powerful shock wave. At such a close distance, even if Uchiha Isha could see Akaza's attack with the help of Sharingan and the transparent world, he would still be affected. Chapter 34. In that case, let me give you a surprise. Uchiha Isha raised his lips slightly. He had enough time to change his attack and switch to other sword forms of sun breathing to resist Akaza's attack at this moment. However, he would still suffer some damage from the impact. In comparison, the other option seemed more appropriate. So, Uchiha Isha did so. Destruction-killing extermination style. Uchiha Isha threw a destructive punch. The target was Akaza's destruction-killing kick style flowing flash group light. How is it possible? Witnessing the moves that Uchiha Isha used in front of him, which he was so familiar with, Akaza's eyes almost popped out of his head. His own blood demon art was actually used by a human like Uchiha Isha? Even if his blood demon art was created based on the fighting skills themselves. But since it is a kind of blood demon art, it naturally requires the physique and strength of a demon. Not to mention, it also requires a lot of tempering of one's own fighting spirit, so that it can exert such power. This is not a move that a human like Uchiha Isha can use. Even if Uchiha Isha's fighting spirit is enough, other aspects are not good enough. Even if he imitates the fighting skills that constitute the blood demon art, it should not be so powerful. This is also the most shocking point for him. The destructive killing style used by Uchiha Isha at this moment is clearly not less powerful than his destructive killing style. Boom! The shock waves created by the destruction killing style and the destruction killing style streaming light collided. A huge explosion sounded. Immediately afterwards, a larger and more violent shock wave appeared. Under this shock wave, let alone Uchiha Isha and Akaza who were fighting head-on at close range. Even Kaneo, Zenitsu, and Inashuk who were not far away were pushed back several steps by the turbulence caused by the shock wave, with unbelievable looks on their faces. Is this the strength of an upper-rank demon? Is this the strength of the pillar? Zenitsu was the boss with his mouth open. Inashuk's rebelliousness was completely gone. This kind of battle is not something that little karamis like them can get involved in. I'm afraid that the aftermath alone is enough to overturn and kill them. Is this the gap between them and the pillars and the upper-rank demons? At this point, the one who feels the most acutely is Kaneo. She now has the strength to compete with the pillars. But even with her strength, it seems that she is not enough in front of Uchiha Isha and Akaza. Can the upper-rank demons really be defeated by the pillars? Judging from the current situation, perhaps it is more or less impossible for other pillars. But for Uchiha Isha, it seems that there is still hope. Akaza's passivity and frustration made her feel that Uchiha Isha will definitely be able to defeat Akaza. Rustle. Under the thrust of the shock wave, Uchiha Isha and Akaza each retreated more than 10 steps. In comparison, Akaza retreated even further. In the previous attack, Uchiha Isha's attack was undoubtedly stronger. No wonder you can reach the highest realm at this age, it seems that you are a martial arts genius. Akazaga's face was not very good. Obviously, he was still immersed in the shock that Uchiha Isha had just brought him. At this moment, he also understood why Uchiha Isha could reach the highest realm at this age. Uchiha Isha's talent in martial arts is definitely not ordinary. Just by looking at it, he can master his blood demon art and turn it into his own powerful fighting technique. Even he can't do this. Kokushibo, who ranks above him, may not be able to do it either. A martial arts genius. Haha, maybe. Uchiha Isha chuckled. As he spoke, he became interested and attacked Akaza again with Akaza's blood demon technique. Destruction killing, air style. Uchiha Isha used the move he copied at the beginning. He swung his fist quickly, and quickly struck out 6 huge punches, coming towards Akaza. Stop looking down on me. Akaza said with a hint of indignation. Under normal circumstances, this kind of fist-to-flesh fight would naturally give him considerable pleasure. But at this moment, Uchiha Isha changed his attack from the sun breathing and attacked him with his own moves. This was undoubtedly a kind of contempt and humiliation for him. Did he want to defeat him with his own moves? Even if Uchiha Isha reached the highest realm, he might not be able to do it. Destroy Killing Demon Core 8-fold Core. Akaza used another blood demon technique of his. His fists swung quickly, launching 8 consecutive attacks from all directions. Each punch was like a meteorite falling to the ground, carrying a force of thousands of pounds, making it difficult to block. It can be said that this is a blow far more powerful than the Destroy Killing Sky style. Uchiha Isha wanted to use his blood demon technique to compete with him, which was simply wishful thinking. He must make Uchiha Isha ask for trouble. Bang bang bang. The sound of fists hitting each other could be heard. Although it was the sound of fists colliding, the sound of the collision was like a fight between bare fists. And the result of this game was exactly as Akaza had imagined. In front of his destruction-killing demon core Yojua core, Uchiha Isha's destruction-killing air style was easily blocked one by one. His 2 extra punches went straight to Uchiha Isha's chest. If Uchiha Isha hadn't stepped forward in time to block Akaza's attack, even if he wouldn't be seriously injured, he would still be in a bit of a mess and suffer injuries. Ha ha ha. Come again. Akaza became more and more courageous as the battle went on. He had already reached the top of Uchiha Isha before. Then, he dropped from the sky and punched Uchiha Isha below. Destruction kill shattering style many leaves flashing willow. Akaza launched an attack. This punch did not carry any punching pressure, but the power contained in this punch gave people an irresistible feeling. It seemed that it could destroy everything with overwhelming force and make the earth crack apart. Want to catch me off guard? But your figure has never escaped my eyes. Uchiha Isha smiled faintly. The failure of the previous attack did not bring him any influence. His Sharingan was always capturing Akaza's movements. However, the failure just now also made him temporarily put away his interest. He no longer fought back with Akaza's blood demon art, and turned back to the sun breathing again. Sun breathing 7th form Yanghua thrust. The sun blade in Uchiha Isha's hand stabbed directly at Akaza in the air. The target was Akaza's falling fist. If this move succeeded, Akaza's right arm would surely pierce through itself, or be cut in half by itself. Seeing this attack from Uchiha Isha, Akaza would naturally not sit idly by and watch his arm suffer. He immediately adjusted the direction to avoid the direction of the sun blade. But there was one thing Akaza obviously forgot. Whether it was Uchiha Isha's Sharingan or Uchiha Isha's transparent world, they could see through any of his little movements clearly. Wherever he hid, Uchiha Isha's attack would go there. No matter how he dodges, Uchiha Isha's sun blade will always come to him accurately. Asshole! After realizing this, Akaza gritted his teeth in anger. He simply stopped dodging and let his arm be pierced by Uchiha Isha's Nichiren sword. However, he chose his arm instead of his fist to be pierced. And when his fist was about to be pierced, it suddenly smashed towards Uchiha Isha's Nichiren sword, trying to break Uchiha Isha's weapon. Without the Nichiren sword, for Uchiha Isha who relied on swordsmanship, the strength he could exert would definitely be greatly reduced. This was also Akaza's purpose. Although it was somewhat despicable to do so, he himself was a little ashamed. But if he couldn't even keep his own weapon, he could only blame Uchiha Isha's incompetence, and he couldn't be said to have won unfairly. Is this your idea? Uchiha Isha's face changed. Akaza's move was decisive. Even if he reacted at this moment, it was too late to resist Akaza's fist and protect his sun blade. He could only maximize the results of his attack and prevent his sun blade from being damaged in vain. Snap! Clang! Two completely different sounds were heard. The sun blade in Uchiha Isha's hand penetrated deeply into Akaza's arm. Then, it passed through Akaza's arm and stabbed directly into Akaza's right chest. At this moment, Akaza's fist also landed on Uchiha Isha's sun blade. The fierce attack and huge force directly broke the blade of the sun blade, breaking Uchiha Isha's sun blade into two pieces. The longest piece was stuck in his body. The remaining palm-length piece was still on Uchiha Isha's sun blade. But with such a short length, it was difficult for Uchiha Isha to continue using it. It was no longer a threat to him. Chapter 35. Ah! Roars and screams resounded through the sky. The former naturally came from Akaza. Although he successfully interrupted Uchiha Isha's sun blade, greatly reducing Uchiha Isha's strongest combat power. But he himself was stabbed by Uchiha Isha's sun blade in the form of a red blade. Under the burning and destruction of the red blade, his pierced arm had been completely broken along the wound. Not only was it difficult to regenerate a new arm, but it also made him suffer as much as the previously injured back. And his right chest, which was almost pierced, was even more so. At this moment, his right chest was charred black, and his flesh and blood were constantly being destroyed. Even if he tried to regenerate, the flesh and blood that was regenerated with difficulty quickly dissipated and turned into nothing. This had a huge impact on him. At least 20% to 30% of his combat power was gone. The next battle would also be greatly affected. As for the screams that came along with Akaza's roar, they came from Kaneo and the other two. Because of the angle, they thought that Uchiha Isha was seriously injured by Akaza's attack. After all, even Uchiha Isha's Nichiren sword was easily broken by Akaza. It was not until Uchiha Isha and Akaza took a few steps back from each other. After seeing that Uchiha Isha was safe and sound, they were relieved. Even so, they were still a little worried. Once the Nichiren sword was broken, it would be difficult for Uchiha Isha to continue fighting with Akaza. Even if the fighting skills just used could still be used. But without the help of the Nichiren sword, fighting a demon in close combat would undoubtedly be very disadvantageous. Use mine. Inosuke was about to throw his Nichiren sword to Uchiha Isha. At other times, he would definitely not be willing to do so. But at this moment, he had to do so. He didn't care about the pain or the fact that someone else took his weapon and used it. Stupid, it's useless. If it is not your own Nichiren sword, using it will only be like an obstacle. Zenitsu said loudly. Borrowing the Nichiren sword is not such a simple matter. If it is not a swordsman using the same breathing method, it is difficult to use someone else's Nichiren sword that has been infected with other breathing methods. Otherwise, it is not only difficult to stimulate the power of the Nichiren sword, but also difficult to use the Nichiren sword freely with your own breathing method. Otherwise, he would have thrown his own Nichiren sword to Uchiha Isha to use. This is also the same for Kaneo. What should I do then? Inosuke felt helpless and a little angry when he heard this. Were they just going to watch Uchiha Isha fight the upper three with his broken sword? The upper three must have been seriously injured by Brother Isha. We can't be afraid of fighting anymore. If we get the chance, we will attack upper rank 3 together with Brother Isha. Without waiting for Inosuke or Zenitsu to continue, Kaneo clenched the sun blade in her hand, her face full of determination. All they could do was fight to the death. Either Uchiha Isha would create an opportunity for them, and they would chop off upper rank 3's head. Or they would risk their lives to create an opportunity for Uchiha Isha, and let Uchiha Isha kill upper rank 3 with the broken sword in his hand. Okay. Hearing Kaneo say this, Zenitsu and Inosuke gritted their teeth and prepared to fight to the death with Kaneo. You don't have to come over here. Uchiha Isha directly stopped the three eager Kaneo. He had noticed their intentions. But it was not the time yet. He didn't need Kaneo to fight for his chance with the determination to die. Destroy the killing demon Koryujutsu. As he spoke, Uchiha Isha had already attacked. At the moment when the sun blade was interrupted, he used Akaza's blood demon jutsu copied from the Sharingan. Bang bang bang! Uchiha Isha punched continuously. With 8 consecutive punches, he successfully hit the painful Akaza, and Akaza's body was directly knocked out. His attack at this moment was also vicious, and he specifically targeted Akaza's chest where the red sword was still inserted. The huge force bombarded the broken Nichiren sword, causing the Nichiren sword, which was about to be released from the red sword state, to become hot again. This caused Akaza a lot of damage again. Ha! A resolute voice came from Akaza's mouth as he was knocked out and fell to the ground. He tore off his entire right chest and right shoulder with a fierce tear. For a moment, blood spilled all over the ground like a waterfall. The part he tore off also twitched on the ground. This time, it's much better after all. Akaza smiled grimly. As half of his body was torn off, the red knife that was stuck in his body also fell off. There was no shackles on his body anymore. Under his powerful regeneration power, his right chest and the entire right shoulder were regenerating rapidly. Although the regenerated part still had some problems with the position that was attacked by the red knife just now, the whole new flesh and blood was better than the previous part. However, doing so also cost him a lot. He paid several times more physical strength and power than usual regeneration. This also made his condition decline again. Even so, Akaza didn't care. Next, he was finally able to kill Uchiha Isha. With only the fighting skills learned from him, Uchiha Isha was not his opponent. Destruction Kill Final Style Blue and Silver Residual Light. Akaza used his strongest blood demon art without hesitation. As this blood demon art was used, the snowflake-shaped compass needle that appeared at the foot of Akaza at the beginning appeared again. Then, hundreds of fighting spirit missiles flew out from around his body, aiming directly at Uchiha Isha. This was also the last blow fired by Akaza. He didn't believe that Uchiha Isha could block his attack. But the next moment, something that shocked Akaza happened again. Almost at the moment when his final style blue and silver residual light was used, Uchiha Isha actually put on the same posture. Although Uchiha Isha did not have a snowflake-shaped compass needle technique like his under his feet, Uchiha Isha also successfully used the Destruction Kill Final Style Blue and Silver Residual Light. Countless fighting spirit missiles were also released from Uchiha Isha's body, heading towards himself. How can it be? I don't believe it. Akaza broke through the defense directly. The few fighting skills that were used just now were enough to destroy the blood-killing demon techniques. Now even his ultimate move was easily used by Uchiha Isha. This move has exceeded the scope of fighting skills. Not to mention absolute, it is difficult for a human body to use it. This fighting demon, he, also created this move after a long time. Even if Uchiha Isha is a martial arts genius, isn't such a martial arts genius a bit too much? Boom! Snapped. When Akaza broke through the defense, the battle between him and Uchiha Isha, the destruction killing, final style, blue-silver random light, had already begun. Countless Dochi missiles collided with each other, and the sound of explosions continued to be heard. Waves of turbulence were also set off by the powerful shock waves. It was thought that this was an evenly matched attack. The final result would end with the loss of Dochi missiles from both sides. But as the Dochi missiles became fewer and fewer, the gap between them gradually emerged. The number of Dochi missiles on Uchiha Isha's side was obviously less than that of Akaza's. After all, it is just a poor imitation. Noticing this, Akaza sneered. He seemed to have seen Uchiha Isha being hit by his remaining Dochi missiles, and being seriously injured or even killed. However, Akaza soon found himself disappointed. Uchiha Isha's supreme domain seemed to have worked again. This also allowed Uchiha Isha to narrowly avoid his remaining Dochi missiles. Just like Uchiha Isha avoided his destruction-killing air style at the beginning. Damn! Akaza cursed. Did the gap in domains make his attack unsustainable? At this moment, Akaza suddenly found a clue. It seems that Uchiha Isha relies on more than just the supreme domain. There is also eyes. With the help of the turbulence caused by the blue and silver residual light, he noticed the abnormality under Uchiha Isha's bangs. It was a pair of red eyes with 3 black megatama, full of evil. Even a demon like him who couldn't stand the light felt the cold charm in Uchiha Isha's eyes. At this moment, the 3 megatama in Uchiha Isha's eyes were spinning rapidly. Human eyes have this ability? Although he didn't know the specific reason, Akaza guessed it sharply. Perhaps, the reason why Uchiha Isha was able to master his blood demon art was not only due to the supreme domain and his amazing dancing talent. There is also these eyes. Perhaps this pair of eyes can copy his own moves, allowing Uchiha Isha to master moves that he had never mastered before. Do you still have time to be distracted? When Akaza wanted to test his guess, or even destroy Uchiha Isha's eyes, Uchiha Isha's voice came. What? Akaza was immediately shocked when he heard that. When he reacted, he had already met Uchiha Isha's evil eyes with 3 megatama. Illusion Sharingan. Nightmare, activate. Uchiha Isha used the Sharingan illusion that he had not been able to use. He also activated the newly acquired eye technique Nightmare. Under the power of Sharingan illusion and Nightmare eye technique, Akaza, who had a bad feeling, had no time to react before he was trapped in the dream woven by Sharingan illusion and Uchiha Isha's eye technique Nightmare. Akaza, who was in the illusion and dream, soon saw a certain scene and saw a certain person. Chapter 36. Under Uchiha Isha's Sharingan illusion and Nightmare pupil technique. The scenes and people that Akaza saw were naturally the scenes when he was a human. What he saw was his home and his seriously ill father at home. Even though he has now become a demon and has forgotten his memories as a human. But when he saw this strange yet familiar place, and the equally strange yet familiar person in front of him, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, with a faint mist in his eyes. His turbulent heart suddenly came to a moment of stagnation. Even the will to break free quickly became quiet. Where is this? Why is this place so familiar? And why does this person in front of him still make him feel so sad and unwilling? Komeiji. When Akaza was filled with pain and confusion, he saw the frail man in front of him suddenly say this name to him. Komeiji. Who is that? Akaza felt confused. But in a trance, this name brought him a very familiar feeling. It was as if the owner of this name was very familiar to him. Even he looked like him. Before Akaza could figure out the reason, he couldn't help but subconsciously care about the sick man who bought the house a year ago. Dad, are you feeling okay? Do you still feel bad now? Akaza asked. Dad? This frail, seriously ill man in front of him is his father? Akaza was a little bit unbelievable when he realized what was happening. He had no impression of his family, let alone any concept of them. Now, suddenly there appeared such a person. Father. Dad is fine now. Thank you, Komeiji. The sick man showed a kind smile. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. In the end, I still couldn't turn over a new leaf. I'm sorry. Akaza suddenly felt that he was out of control again. He subconsciously knelt on the ground and kept talking sadly. The tears in his eyes seemed to slide down uncontrollably. It's okay, you've done well. The sick man strokes Akaza's head. Yes, you have done a good job, Komeiji. Without waiting for the sick man or Akaza to continue, the next moment, the scene and the person in front of him changed again. The scene changed from home to a dojo, and the person changed to a middle-aged man with stubble and wearing a dojo uniform. He was the owner of the Soryu Dojo, Keizo, Akaza's master, and Koihoki's father. No matter what you become, you are still the best disciple of the master. Master and Lien Shui will definitely support you with all their strength. Qingzang smiled and patted Akaza's shoulder. Master? Koyayaki. Akaza raised his head and looked at the middle-aged man in the kimono in front of him. Did his master show up too? Did he have a master? When thinking about this, Akaza's eyes were quickly attracted by another figure. It was a cute girl wearing a cherry-colored kimono and a snowflake-shaped hairpin. The girl's face was a little sick, but the look she gave him was full of tenderness and concern. Brother Komeiji, you have done a good job. You have done enough, don't make yourself suffer anymore. Lian Shui walked forward, gently held Akaza's cheeks with both hands, and gently soothed and told him. Love. Love snow. Akaza couldn't help but call out the other person's name again. With this call, a box that had been sealed in his mind for many years seemed to be completely opened. This also made him seem to remember something. He remembered everything. As Komeiji himself and his father, as well as Master Keizo and his fiancée Koihoki. Why did he forget them? These are all the things that he cherishes the most and also make him sad the most. Sorry, Love Snow. I failed to protect you and the Master. When you needed me the most, I wasn't there for you. In the end, I failed to keep any of my promises. It's all my fault. Please forgive me, Liangxiu. I beg you to forgive me. I'm sorry. Akaza, or Komeiji, hugged the person they loved tightly, crying and blaming themselves. Silly boy, how could we blame you, brother Komeiji? We should thank Komeiji and II for remembering us at this moment. Lian Shui said with tears streaming down her face. Welcome back. Husband. A gentle smile appeared on Koihoki's face. Keizo, who had not disappeared, also hugged his daughter Koihoki and Komeiji with tears in his eyes. From now on, our family will be together forever. Qingzang Road. Call. In addition to the Sharingan illusion and nightmare pupil technique. At this moment, Uchiha Isha breathed a sigh of relief. He had stabilized Akaza. When he had just let Akaza fall into illusions and dreams, he felt Akaza's strong instinctive resistance. This also made him understand one thing. Perhaps he underestimated the spirit of the demon. At least, this is the case with the upper-rank demons. His Sharingan illusion that can sweep the lower-rank demons is somewhat useless on the upper-rank demons. Not to mention, it is a demon like Akaza who has the potential to break through the boundary of life and death with his own spirit. His spirit is extremely powerful and it is difficult to be controlled by the Sharingan for too long. 1 or 2 seconds may be considered good. Of course, this is not that the Sharingan is useless. It's that the Sharingan illusion he mastered is too basic, just the basic application of the Sharingan illusion. If there is a corresponding illusion for him to use with the Sharingan. Not to mention the upper-rank demons, he was confident that he could control even the Demon King Muzan Kibutsuji. At this moment when he had not mastered other illusions, it was thanks to his nightmare blood demon art, and the use of Akaza's weakness to create the corresponding illusion and dream, that he was able to control Akaza. This time, it's really over. Uchiha Isha held the remaining piece of the Nichiren sword and stepped forward to cut off Akaza's head. But before his broken sword fell on Akaza's neck, Akaza, who was still immersed in illusions and dreams, made a sound. His left hand suddenly raised and grabbed his wrist that was holding the sword. Although he has remembered the past, do he still have the will to survive? Uchiha Isha frowned slightly. Thanks. When Uchiha Isha was thinking this, Akaza suddenly said thank you. Then, in his surprised eyes, Akaza's hand that was tightly holding his arm suddenly exerted force. This was not Akaza pushing his hand away to prevent his neck from being cut off. He took the initiative to move Uchiha Isha's knife-holding hand towards his neck and cut off his neck. Do you want to commit suicide to atone for your sins? Uchiha Isha immediately understood Akaza's intention. After remembering the past, Akaza no longer had the will and instinct to continue fighting and surviving. He just wanted to end his miserable life and go to hell to atone for his sins with his father, Master Qingzang, and lover Liangxiu. Even though he would not be able to meet Liangxiu and the other two who were going to heaven and hell, this meeting before death was enough for him. S.A. The palm-length Nichiren sword slashed across Akaza's neck. The red sword easily cut off his neck and cut off his head. His face was no longer ferocious and fierce. Although it still looked a little scary, it was more gentle and grateful. Perhaps, what really allowed Akaza to be hard-controlled and to remember the past was not just the dream created by my illusion and Ijutsu nightmare. Presumably, there are also 3 people including Koihoki who are following Akaza in the form of souls, right? At this moment, Uchiha Isha suddenly had this thought. At least, in the original history, Akaza was redeemed by Koihoki, his father and his master. As his head was cut off by the Nichiren sword, he also lost the will to live. Akaza's body standing in place and his head that fell to the ground began to dissipate. This time, Uchiha Isha did not remove Akaza's eyes as he did to the lower string 5, Rui and the lower string 1, Nightmare. He only took out 2 syringes and took out 2 large tubes of demon blood from Akaza's body. Farewell. After finishing the blood draw, Uchiha Isha bids farewell to Akaza. To defeat Vuchin. If you are so strong, you can definitely. Akaza looked at Uchiha Isha with a hoarse voice, responding to Uchiha Isha's farewell. After saying that, without waiting for Uchiha Isha to give a positive answer, he had already dissipated most of his head and body, completely turning into smoke. Chapter 37. Wuzan will definitely die. Soon, he will go to hell too. Perhaps Akaza couldn't hear it. But Uchiha Isha still made his own affirmation and assurance to the ashes that Akaza turned into. Almost at the moment when the voice fell, Uchiha Isha also received the gift from Akaza. His Sharingan absorbed the energy that surged from the ashes that Akaza turned into. His pupil power, physique, strength and other aspects have been comprehensively improved. And this time the improvement is many times stronger than the improvement brought by the Nightmare. Even if his Sharingan is still 3 Megatama, but his pupil power is now more than twice as strong as before. His Mangekyō Sharingan has also been activated from nearly 10% to about 33%. But the biggest benefit is probably his physique and strength. I don't know if it's because Akaza is a fighting demon, his physical fitness has improved even more. Both his physique and strength are more than 3 to 5 times better than before. If he were to use Akaza's blood demon technique now, I'm afraid even the original Akaza wouldn't be a match for his pirated version. Besides this, in addition, Akaza's energy seemed to have brought new changes to Uchiha Isha. That was a change in his life potential. When he was practicing with the other 9 pillars before, Uchiha Isha had already discovered one thing. That was the abnormality in his physical recovery speed and injury recovery speed. His recovery speed was more than 10 times faster than that of ordinary people. It is very likely that the energy he obtained from the demon did not only improve his physical body. Even the essence of life has been improved. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is gradually developing towards a perfect demon. Now that he has obtained Akaza's energy, this is especially true. He even has a feeling that his body is evolving. He is afraid that it will not be surprising at all when he really becomes a perfect demon. And judging from Uchiha Isha's current situation, perhaps there will be no side effects if he activates the markings. Uchiha Isha has this feeling vaguely. Having said that, before starting a real decisive battle, or before encountering a battle where he has to activate the markings, he decided to slow down. Finally, there is the new pupil technique. This is also what Uchiha Isha is most looking forward to. And he also quickly clarified his new pupil technique. Akaza, or the Luo Needle. According to the naming convention, the blood demon technique ability that Uchiha Isha obtained from Akaza will naturally be named after Akaza. As for his pupil technique, Akaza's ability, it is the core of Akaza's own blood demon technique. That is Luo Needle. But compared to Akaza's Luo Needle, Uchiha Isha's Luo Needle is naturally different. His Luo Needle can form a Luo Needle field around his body. The effect of the Luo Needle field, in addition to the effect of Akaza's Luo Needle, also has the effect of enhancing his own fighting spirit. The most important thing is that it does not have the disadvantages of Akaza's Luo Needle. Even if it is a being who masters the transparent world, the attack in the Luo Needle field will be seen by him. At this point, it can be said that he directly opened the Bun. Everything around him 360 degrees cannot escape his observation and detection. In other words, in terms of range, the Luojin domain is far inferior to the Byakugan. Even if the Akaza Eye technique is used at full power, the Luojin domain can only cover an area of about 10 meters in diameter. But in the Demon Slayer world, it is enough. Not bad. With this Eye technique, I will be able to face Kokushibo and Muzan more calmly. The only pity is that he still couldn't obtain Akaza's other blood demon arts. Uchiha Isha was satisfied, but also a little regretful. He hadn't copied all of Akaza's blood demon arts. Fortunately, he had the basic ability of Luojin to destroy blood demon arts, and he roughly knew the attack methods and properties of Akaza's other blood demon arts. It wouldn't be a big problem for him to restore Akaza's other blood demon arts by himself. Am I seeing things? That upper rank 3 suddenly stopped responding, and then committed suicide. Zenitsu's unbelievable voice suddenly came from not far away. Akaza was dead, which made him feel like he was in a dream, and it was quite unbelievable. He only saw the upper rank 3 Akaza and Uchiha Isha launching the final duel. Uchiha Isha's attack was not as good as Akaza's, and in the end he could only forcibly dodge Akaza's remaining attacks. After that, Akaza just started to daze on the spot, allowing Uchiha Isha to come forward and slaughter him. When he was about to be slaughtered, Akaza actually took the initiative to help Uchiha Isha. Is this sure not a dream? At this moment, even Inashuk, who is a broad-minded person, finds it difficult to make an evaluation. On the contrary, it was Kaneo. Although she was also very shocked at the beginning, she soon guessed the approximate reason. It must be the eyes of Uchiha Isha that played a role. Perhaps, through her eyes, Uchiha Isha let Akaza see the existence she cherishes most. It was as if she met her favorite sister, Butterfly Kane, again under Uchiha Isha's Sharingan. This is also the reason why Akaza was stunned on the spot, and finally chose to help Uchiha Isha kill himself. Anyway, Upper 3 is dead. The Sun Pillar successfully defeated the Upper 3. We finally don't have to fight with Upper Rank 3, and die at the hands of Upper Rank 3. Zenitsu suddenly sat down on the ground, full of relief. No matter what the reason was, the death of Upper Rank 3 Akaza was naturally the best news for them. Hearing what Zenitsu said, even Inashuk and Kaneo felt a little relieved. In addition, they were overjoyed. After all, an Upper Rank 3 died at the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps. This is also the first time in the history of the Demon Slayer Corps. Compared with the survival and joy of Kaneo and the other two. On the other hand, Muzan Kibutsuji's mood at the moment is not so good. Hateful. How is it possible that even Akaza was defeated? The human's Nichiren sword had been broken, how could he possibly defeat Akaza? He actually used Akaza's blood demon technique, that human is obviously not a demon. Kaizen Kibutsuji Muzan angrily threw down a medical book in his hand, and destroyed the room where the corpses had not been cleaned up. The result of this battle was unbelievable and even more difficult to accept for him. Although Akaza suffered a big loss at the beginning. However, as Uchiha Isha's Sun Wheel sword was interrupted by Akaza and it was difficult to use the sword form of sun breathing, Akaza was absolutely sure of winning. But the blood demon technique of Akaza used by Uchiha Isha was a blow to him. And the most important thing was the last scene. What happened to Akaza at the last moment? What happened? Even I couldn't detect what was happening to Akaza. There is definitely something wrong with those eyes. Looks like I have to be more careful, and I have to notify Kokushibo and the others as well. Muzan Kibutsuji's face was ferocious. Through Akaza's eyes, he also noticed the difference in Uchiha Isha's Sharingan. Those eyes were definitely not possessed by humans, and they must have hidden abilities that were unknown to humans. This must have been the biggest reason why Akaza was defeated and his perception was blocked. Thinking of Hibiki and Rui who died at the hands of Uchiha Isha before. Perhaps, Uchiha Isha's Sharingan was also responsible for this. Therefore, he did not discover Uchiha Isha's sun breathing early. Minoru, get all the upper rank to come to the Infinite City to hold an upper rank meeting. Thinking of this, Muzan Kibutsuji immediately ordered Mingnu, who was in the base camp of the Infinite City, to transfer himself to the Infinite City, and asked Mingnu to summon the remaining 5 upper rank to the Infinite City. Next, he would gather all the upper rank to kill Uchiha Isha. If this fails, and Uchiha Isha becomes another Tsugokuni Yoriichi in the end, then he would have to repeat the strategy used during the Warring States period to deal with Tsugokuni Yoriichi, and hide for hundreds of years again to wait for Uchiha Isha to die. Yes, Master Muzan. After receiving Muzan's order, Mingnu, who was in the Infinite Castle, immediately activated her blood demon art. The next moment, a portal appeared under Muzan. As Muzan entered the portal, his figure disappeared in the room. Chapter 38. Infinite Castle. As Naruto's blood demon art was activated, the 6 eyes of the first upper rank one, Kokushibo, who appeared in the Infinite Castle, narrowed slightly. Lord Muzan actually summoned us here. Could it be that an upper rank demon has died? Kokushibo thought. The upper rank demons gathering meetings do not have a fixed time. It all depends on the whim of their immediate superior, Muzan Kibutsuji. If there is something to be notified on weekdays, their Lord Musen will directly notify them from a distance. Calculating the time, it seems that more than 100 years have passed since the last upper-rank demon meeting. And the last time an upper-rank demon meeting was held was because an upper-rank demon was killed tragically. This time they were pulled to the Infinite Castle without being notified, and perhaps another upper-rank demon has indeed died. I just don't know which upper-rank demon has died. Is it one of the 3 upper-rank demons at the bottom of the strength ranking? With the strength of the second upper rank, Doma, and the third upper rank, Akaza, Kokushibo doesn't think they will die at the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps. Isn't this Lord Kokushibo? Oh my, I am so happy to see you still look so handsome. Come to think of it, we haven't seen each other for almost 90 years, right? When Kokushibo was guessing which upper-rank demon had died, a pod appeared in front of him the next moment. As soon as he finished speaking, a demon with 2 eyes in the middle of his forehead and 1 in his mouth, 2 mouths in the original position of his eyes, and disgusting little arms all over his body, emerged from the pot. It was none other than the jade pot of the upper 5. It's terrible. It's really terrible. Only 113 years have passed, and you even got the time wrong, yahoo! 113, an odd number that cannot be divided, what an unlucky and terrible number. After the jade pot, another voice appeared. Then, a demon with a huge bump on his head, 2 horns, pointed ears, and wearing a kimono appeared. He was the upper demon above the jade pot, the upper 4 half Tengu. Really? It's been so long. He. Gamatsubo laughed strangely. Kokushibo ignored Gamatsubo and Han Tengu. Instead, the appearance of Gamatsubo and Han Tengu made him focus his guess on the upper 6 Dakame and Gitaru who had not yet appeared. So, the upper 6 Dakame and Gitaru were the ones who died? As soon as this guess came up, Kokushibo soon found that his guess was overturned. Because after Gamatsubo and Han Tengu, Dakame and Gitaru soon appeared in the Infinite Castle and appeared in front of him. He, it's been a long time since we last met. Gitaru laughed strangely. On the contrary, Dakame couldn't wait to find the figure she was eager to see. Where is Lord Musen? Where is Lord Musen? While Dakame was constantly looking for her immediate superior, Musen Kibutsuji. The last upper rank 2, Doma, appeared behind Dakame and Gitaru with a smile and greeted them. Daki, you still admire Lord Musen as always. Looking at you guys, you should be doing well recently. Doma said with a smile. He has a very close relationship with Daki and Gitaru. After all, he turned them into demons himself. It was also because of his care that Daki and Gitaru were able to catch the eye of Musen-sama and become the new upper strings 100 years ago. It is indeed very good, Master Doma. Jifutaro laughed strangely again. I didn't expect that Akaza was the one who passed away. Kokushibo looked around at the upper-rank demons in front of him, slightly surprised. What a pity. Akaza, I admire you so much. Didn't you say that you would reach the highest realm, defeat me, and become one of the strongest upper ranks? Kokushibo sighed. If Akaza showed up at the end, he might still feel that he had guessed wrong. This meeting of the upper ranks was not based on the death of the upper ranks, but because his immediate superior, Musen Kibutsuji, had other important matters to inform them. But now it seems that an upper rank demon is indeed dead. The dead upper ranks can still be recognized by him, and he is also very optimistic about the third upper rank Akaza. This is really unbelievable. Even an existence like Akaza would die at the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps. You know, there are not a few pillars who died at the hands of Akaza. Oh yes. I didn't even notice that Akaza-sama didn't show up. After hearing what Kokushibo said, Doma realized this belatedly. But whether it was really behind the scenes, perhaps only he knew it. Unexpectedly, Lord Akaza was killed. This is really sad. Lord Akaza is obviously our important partner, but he met with an unexpected accident. Doma felt sad for Akaza. However, the sadness he showed did not resonate with the other upper-rank demons. The emotions shown by Doma were too fake. They also knew Doma's true face. The death of the upper-rank demon made them a little touched and shocked at most, but not sad at all. Their relationship with each other was not that good. The death of an upper-rank demon who was higher than their own was actually a good opportunity for them to upgrade. They were too happy to wait for it. Shut up, everyone. Before Doma or the other upper-rank demons could continue to say anything, they only heard the angry roar of Musen Kibutsuji. Then they saw his figure also appear on a high platform in the Infinite Castle. Next to him was Ming Nu, who was holding a pipa. No, miserable lord! Noticing their immediate superior, all the upper demons knelt down to greet him. Akaza is dead, killed by the Demon Slayer Core's S-pillar. Moreover, he is a guy who uses the breathing of the sun and his eyes seem to have special abilities. Sun breathing. Hearing the existence of sun breathing, the other upper demons did not react too much. Only one person's expression changed drastically. That was naturally Kokushibo. Kokushibo subconsciously clenched the scabbard in his hand, his eyes were different, and his face was full of shock. Sun breathing, that is the breathing method of his younger brother Tsujikuni Yoriichi. It is also an existence that he will remember for the rest of his life and will never be able to match. This breathing method actually appeared again hundreds of years later. It was him who led the Demon Slayers into the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters and cut off the inheritance of sun breathing. Sun breathing actually exists in the world, and someone has mastered it. With its strength, can it kill Akaza? No matter which point, it is enough to shock him. Tsugakoku Yoriichi, you have been dead for so long, why do you still want to show your breathing method to this world? Kuroshibo's heart was raging. He wanted to find the swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps who used the breathing of the sun and kill him immediately. During the Warring States period, he failed to prove that he and his breathing of the moon were the strongest. But now, since someone has mastered the breathing of the sun again, he must kill the other party and completely eliminate the existence of the breathing of the Sunday. Akaza's death makes me disappointed in you upper-rank demons. It seems that I have been a little too pampered to you because of your status as upper-rank demons. I would like to give you one last piece of advice. You should fight harder in the future. Muzan Kibutsuji then spoke coldly. I'll give you 6 months to find the swordsman who uses the sun breathing. Then I'll have Naruto send you to him. Gather all your upper strings and kill him. When you kill him, don't forget to pay attention to his eyes. The Demon Slayer Corps and all beings related to the Demon Slayer Corps must also be destroyed. Kaizen Kibutsuji Muzan gave his orders with anger. Yes. All the upper ranks looked solemn and nodded in unison. They needed all of them to go out together, which showed that their immediate superior, Muzan-sama, attached great importance to them. If they couldn't complete this task beautifully, they would suffer. Correct. Regarding the Demon Slayer Corps, I have obtained important information that can help you realize your ambition as soon as possible. Also, the matter of the upper rank changing position after Akaza's death. Yoho was about to tell Muzan Kibutsuji about the intelligence he had recently obtained. By the way, he mentioned the matter of the upper rank position change. He was a little impatient to become the upper rank 4 or even the upper rank 3. However, before Yoho could finish his words, by the time he reacted, his head had been separated from his body. His head had even fallen into the hands of his immediate superior, Muzan. Yoho was not afraid of this at all. On the contrary, he felt honored that his head was held by his immediate superior, Muzan. Intelligence without proof of authenticity is meaningless. But if it is confirmed, I will let Han Tengu act with you. As for the upper ranks replacement battle, I will first let Naruto take the position of upper rank 3. Whoever can kill the swordsman of the breath of the sun, I will give my blood and make him become the third upper moon. Kaizen Kibutsuji said coldly. After saying that, he directly dropped the head of the jade pot in his hand, and then ruthlessly inserted his hand into the head of Ming Nu beside him. He was infusing Ming Nu with his own blood, thereby enhancing Ming Nu's strength. The upper rank demon identity marks of upper rank and 3 were also quickly seen by him in Ming Nu's eyes. After absorbing all this blood, Ming Nu should have the strength to match the upper rank demons. At the same time, Ming Nu's blood demon art will be further strengthened. In addition to controlling the infinite city and mastering the ability to master space, Ming Nu can also differentiate eyeball clones to detect intelligence. This also makes Kibutsuji Muzan think highly of Ming Nu. Otherwise, relying solely on the demons currently distributed in Neon, it would not be enough to bring him enough intelligence and information. Later, when Ming Nu can differentiate more eyeball clones, it will be more convenient to find out Uchiha Isha or the locations related to the Demon Slayer Corps. He can also annihilate Uchiha Isha and the Demon Slayer Corps in one fell swoop. Chapter 39. After giving his demon blood to Naruto, before Naruto could completely absorb his blood and complete the advancement, Muzan Kibutsuji had already asked Naruto to open a portal for him and leave the Infinite City. Master Muzan is still as resolute as ever. Doma said with a smile. As his immediate superior, Muzan Kibutsuji, left, he slowly stood up from the ground. Then, let's work together. Find the sun-breathing swordsman that Muzan-sama wants to find, and kill him. Doma clapped his folding fan. However, no one responded to his words. After they stood up, they were sent away from the infinite city under the blood demon art of Naruto. The upper string conference came to an end. On the other side, at the residence of Yubayashiki Yoshiya, another 9 pillars meeting, or 10 pillars meeting, also began. Compared to the solemnity of the upper string meeting, the atmosphere of the 10 pillars meeting was undoubtedly very cheerful. Not only did he successfully kill one of the lower moons, but he also killed an upper moon demon, Akaza, the third upper moon. Yet. Well done, Isha. Upon hearing the report from Uchiha Isha and the others, Yubayashiki Yoshiya was so excited that he coughed up blood. His condition had worsened a lot compared to more than 2 months ago. Not only had the lower half of his face been affected by the curse, but even his limbs had shown corresponding symptoms. At this moment, even with someone's support, he had difficulty moving. But Yubayashiki Yoshiya didn't care about his condition at all. Even though he had already learned about the death of the upper 3 from Uchiha Isha's crow. Now that he heard it again, he couldn't help but be very excited and excited. My lord! Yubayashiki Amini, Yubayashiki Hinamai and Yubayashiki Hikaru were beside him and wiped the blood off Yubayashiki Yoya with concern to help him calm down. Uchiha Isha and the others also looked at the uncomfortable Yubayashiki Yoya with concern. After more than 100 years, the deadlock has finally changed again. Everyone, do you understand? This is a new omen. Fate is about to take a huge turn. This ripple will continue to spread, causing huge fluctuations on the entire water surface, and eventually alarm the man. Muzan Kibutsuji. We, the Demon Slayer Corps, will definitely completely erase the stain on our Yubayashiki clan in this era. Yubayashiki Yoya said while coughing up blood. It's funny to say that the ancestor of demons, Muzan Kibutsuji, actually came from their Yubayashiki clan. The innocent members of the Yubayashiki clan were also innocently implicated because of Muzan Kibutsuji, and have suffered from the curse ever since. This makes them have to take on the task of hunting demons in order to lift the curse and bring peace to the world. And now, this important task, which has not been accomplished by hundreds of generations of Demon Slayer Corps leaders, will come to an end in his generation. My lord, please be patient. Right now, there are more urgent things to do. Uchiha Isha reminded his lord, Yubayashiki Yoya. He had other important things to tell Yubayashiki Yoya. Oh! Hearing Uchiha Isha say this. For a moment, Yubayashiki Yoya and the 9 pillars looked at Uchiha Isha together, waiting for Uchiha Isha's next words. During this battle, I learned that the demon was looking for us. Let alone here, the knife maker village may have been discovered by them. We need to urgently evacuate the people in the swordsmith village and set up an ambush in the swordsmith village. Maybe, we will kill the upper rank demons again, and multiple upper rank demons. Uchiha Isha said. If we calculate the time, it may take several months for the swordsmith village to be discovered. But considering the butterfly effect, he dare not guarantee that the swordsmith village has not been discovered by Yahoo or other upper rank demons at this moment. It is always better to complete the arrangement early and be prepared. The swordsmith village has been discovered. Yubayashiki Yoya was immediately startled when he heard this, his face full of solemnity. The swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps, especially the most powerful pillar-level swordsmen, are naturally incomparable in importance. But the swordsmen in the swordsmith village are also of top priority. Without a handy and sharp weapon, even if the swordsman is very powerful, it is difficult to kill the demon. If an accident happens to the swordsmith village, as long as their weapons have problems, it is undoubtedly impossible to kill Muzan Kibutsuji in the present. Especially at this moment when the weapon of Uchiha Isha, the first user of the sun breathing who defeated the upper rank demon, is broken, it is even more so. Even if we try our best to restore the swordsmith village, it will take decades to get the swordsmith village back to its current level. Tianyan, immediately arrange for someone to notify everyone in the swordsmith village and have them be ready to relocate at any time. And Isha and the 9 pillars are ready to support the swordsmith village at any time. If there really is an upper rank demon coming, try to kill it all at once. Yubayashiki Yoya immediately gave the order. At the moment when Uchiha Isha killed the upper rank demon, he was absolutely confident that his pillar-level swordsman could kill the upper rank demon. Yes. Uchiha Isha and 9 pillars said in unison. Compared to Uchiha Isha, 9 pillars were undoubtedly more excited and expectant. They were finally going to face the existence of upper rank demon. Let them personally experience the strength of the so-called strongest upper-rank demon. Don't be careless, the upper demons are very powerful. Even for me, it took a lot of effort, relying on the sun breathing and the red blade to restrain the demon to complete the kill. If it were you, even if you mastered the transparent world, it would be difficult to kill even Sorrow Isle without opening the stripes. Uchiha Isha reminded. He felt that the 9 pillars were somewhat inflated, especially the few who had recently mastered the transparent world. This was especially true for the wind pillar Fushigi and the snake pillar Iguro Obana. This is a big taboo. You know, the strength of the upper-rank demons is still very strong. In the original history, although the sound pillar Uzui Tenjin teamed up with Tanjiro and others to kill the upper 6, that was with the burden of Dakame. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Uzui Tenjin would be another pillar who died in battle after Rengoku Kyojuro. Judging from his duel with Akaza this time, if he hadn't absorbed so much energy from evil spirits and strengthened his physical fitness, making his strength a little bit beyond the standard, comparable to the 9 pillars with the markings activated. If he fights with the same mortal body as the 9 pillars, relying solely on the breathing of the sun, without the help of the Sharingan, he might have to activate the markings, cooperate with the transparent world and the red sword to defeat Akaza. When the 9 pillars do not activate the markings, they need at least 2 or 3 people to kill an upper-rank demon, and that is an upper-rank demon ranked in the bottom 3. And the strongest one of the upper ranks, Kokushibo, and the second upper rank, Doma, even if the 9 pillars activate the markings, it will take 3 or 4 pillars with the help of the red sword and the transparent world to defeat them. Even if the swordsmith village has an upper-rank demon this time, the 5th upper-rank demon, Jade Pot, and the 4th upper-rank demon, Han Tengu, without activating the markings and being careless, even if all 9 pillars are out in battle, there will be casualties. Not to mention, by then even Muzan Kibutsuji may appear. Regarding this point, it is Uchiha Isha's own guess. Since Muzan Kibutsuji knows about his sun breathing, and even knows about his Sharingan, he has definitely been targeted by Muzan Kibutsuji and wants to eliminate him. If he finds his trace, Muzan Kibutsuji may let Naruto directly teleport other upper-rank demons or even himself to the swordsmith village. If this is true, it would be dangerous. At the moment, he does not have enough strength to. It is enough to ensure that Muzan Kibutsuji is killed. Even if there is, Muzan Kibutsuji can be transferred with the help of the power of Naruto. In addition, before the poisons in Tamayo's original history were developed, I can't guarantee that Muzan Kibutsuji will not be able to escape if I can defeat him. Everything needs to be prepared. But fortunately, Tamayo also got the blood of the 12 demon moons early, and perhaps her poison progress has been accelerated. What is needed now is to let Shinobu Koko and Tamayo work together to complete the final poison as soon as possible. And this needs to be promoted by Yubayashiki Yoya. Even if he didn't mention it, Yubayashiki Yoya might have this idea. Chapter 40. Then turn on the markings. Even if it's a life for a life, we have to kill the damned demon. Bushigawa Shia gritted his teeth and said. As long as he could kill the upper rank, it didn't matter if he opened the mark early. The other 9 pillars were the same. They were also ready to open the mark and exchange 1 for 1 with the upper rank demon. Having said that, with Uchiha Isha's reminder, the 9 pillars began to calm down and became on high alert, no longer inflated. Shimizu, don't be careless. Isha has said so, we must not underestimate the strength of the upper demons. Although we have already put life and death aside, I still hope that you can survive if possible. Yubayashiki Yoya also said. Yes. The 9 pillars said in unison. To survive. If they could do it, they would naturally want to survive. Shinobu, you might be a bit busy next. In addition to preparing to rush to the swordsmith village to help kill the upper string demon. During this time, I would like to trouble you to devote all your energy to researching drugs to fight against demons and help remove the toxins of demons, so that you can use them when fighting against upper rank demons later. I will get a very good doctor to help you. Yubayashiki Yoya said to Koko Shinobu. Just as Uchiha Isha thought, he also thought of medicine. Whether it was the poison for the demons or the antidote for the demon's blood poison, it was the same. He knew that relying on Koko Shinobu alone was not enough. So, he planned to have a talk with Tamayo and invite Tamayo to cooperate with Koko Shinobu. Since the target was the upper demon and Muzan Kibutsuji, Tamayo would probably be willing to agree. Yes, I got it. Shinobu Koko nodded slightly. Not to mention the poison that can kill an upper-rank demon. The blood poison of an upper-rank demon does need to be prevented. She has not forgotten that her sister, Kane Koko, was poisoned by an upper-rank demon, which damaged her lungs and led to her death. Although it has been difficult for her to come up with a corresponding countermeasure before, now she has the blood of an upper-rank demon provided by Uchiha Isha. In addition, her lord Yubayashiki Yoya will introduce her to other powerful doctors later. Perhaps, she can research this antidote. Of course. The most important thing is to research a drug that can poison that demon to death. The poison of the upper-rank demon that only killed her sister. If this upper-rank demon appears in the swordsmith village, she can just avenge her sister. For this, she has been preparing for a long time. Before this, she was even ready to use herself as the poison. As long as the opponent swallows her and becomes a poison person, and is seriously poisoned, other swordsmen can kill it more easily. And in Shinobu Koko's opinion, the other swordsman responsible for killing that upper-rank demon must be Kaneo. Shinobu Koko has never told anyone about this, not even Kaneo knows it yet. After completing various arrangements, this time, the 10 Pillars meeting came to an end soon. Since the upper-rank demons could not determine the exact location of the swordsmith village for a while, the Demon Slayer Corps still had a lot of time. After arrangements, it was finally decided that Uchiha Isha, whose sunflower sword was damaged, would rush to the swordsmith village first to forge a new weapon. The other 9 pillars then rushed to the swordsmith village one after another to lie in wait and ambush. So, about a day later, Uchiha Isha arrived at the swordsmith village. For the sake of safety and to facilitate support, the swordsmith village is not far from the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The main reason is that the location is relatively hidden, built in the deep mountains and forests, surrounded by jungles and mountains, and there are many detours. Therefore, it took a lot of time. Otherwise, it would take about a few hours to get to the swordsmith village from the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Hello, Mr. Son. I am the chief of the swordsmith village, Tetsuji Kawara Jintetsu. Please take care of me. After entering the swordsmith village, Uchiha Isha was immediately warmly welcomed by the chief of the swordsmith village. I am, please take care of me. Uchiha Isha responded with a smile. Although the Taiki Kawahara Jintetsu in front of him was short and hunched, he was the most skilled swordsmith in the swordsmith village. He also made many sharp Nichiren swords to help the swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps kill demons. It can be said that he is a respectable existence. We have to thank Lord Hirakai for notifying us in time. Our swordsmith village had enough time to prepare for the transfer. Tetsuji Kawara Jintetsu bowed to Uchiha Isha and thanked him. Within a day, they had already received a letter from the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, and they also knew that the swordsmith village had been discovered by the upper-rank demons. This made them very frightened. Therefore, they were also very grateful to Uchiha Isha. If Uchiha Isha had not informed them in advance, I am afraid that the swordsmiths in their swordsmith village would have been wiped out and could no longer provide strong support for the Demon Slayer Corps' demon hunting work. The loss is not small. Nowhere. This is what I should do. Uchiha Isha responded politely. Then, he came straight to the point and put forward this request. In addition to rebuilding his own Nichiren sword, there is also a weapon that he has never been able to obtain. That is the Nichiren sword of Yoriichi Tsujikuni hidden in Yoriaki's Type 0 mechanical doll. In the past, he was either hunting demons to become a pillar or practicing with the other 9 pillars. After finally finishing the practice, he hurriedly took on the task. As a result, he did not have time to go to the swordsmith village. Now, he has finally arrived at the swordsmith village and can finish what he needs to do. Please rest assured about the Nichiren sword. I have asked Teshima Temple to reforge it with fine iron. I will also personally supervise and instruct. If we rush the work, it can be completed before the swordsmith village is transferred. Tetsuji Kawarijin Railway. The news that Uchiha Isha's sunwheel blade was broken was naturally passed on to them by the crow. Almost at the moment of receiving the letter, Uchiha Isha's sunwheel blade had already begun to be rushed. Originally, he wanted to do it himself after a long absence, but at this age his health and physical strength are somewhat not good. Letting him do it himself would delay the construction period. He could only guide from the side to let Tetsuji perform at a higher level. As for the Nichiren sword inside Katetsu's zero-style puppet, we don't know about it. Tetsuji Kawara Shintetsu said. Katetsu is the current owner of the zero-style puppet. His ancestor was the maker of the zero-style puppet. Unexpectedly, there are weapons left by the legendary swordsman inside. I will have someone call Zayatetsu to see if there is such a weapon in the zero style of Yoriichi. Tetsuji Kawara Jintetsu was quite emotional. He was very interested in the weapons made during the Warring States period. This was true for both the forging skills and materials of the Warring States period. Just like the Demon Slayer Corps, their swordsmith village had also lost some of its inheritance due to the attacks of demons. Through Yoriichi Shugakuin's Nichiren sword, they might be able to discover some of the skills of their predecessors. That's troublesome. Uchiha Isha nodded. He was looking forward to Tsugakoku Yoshika's sun blade. Village chief, you are looking for me. Tetsuji Kawahara Jintetsu sent someone to inform Zayatetsu. Zayatetsu quickly brought his own Yuichi Zero-style doll to the home of the village chief Tetsuji Kawahara Jintetsu. Since the person who notified him did not tell him the specific situation, he did not know what happened. He also did not know the reason why the village chief asked him to bring Yuichi Zero-style. Zayatetsu, this is Lord Hijiri. Taiki Kawara Jintetsu introduced Uchiha Isha to Zayatetsu. Master Rizu. As expected, Zayouti, who learned of Uchiha Isha's identity, also thanked Uchiha Isha. Now in the swordsmith village, it can be said that no one does not know Uchiha Isha's benefactor. This time I asked you to come here, Zayouti, because there might be a sun blade hidden in the Zero style of Eniki. The owner of the Nichiren sword is the prototype of the Zero style, the legendary swordsman Yoriichi Tsugakuni. We want to try to take out this Nichiren sword to see if we can research the technology of the Warring States period, and whether this Nichiren sword can become a backup weapon for the Sun Pillar Master. Tetsuji Kawara Jintetsu told Zayatetsu the reason. If the level of sophistication of this Nichiren sword exceeds the current level of the swordsmith village, it is possible that the Nichiren sword they made for Uchiha Isha is actually a backup weapon.